If you've ever sat around and wondered, well, how did I get here? Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. Today is going to be the Thursday, February 12th edition. No guest here today. We got a ton of news to go through. We're going to take a look at charts. We're going to get you all prepared for the pre-market, all of the movers that are going on in there. We're going to take a look at some prediction market stuff. I'll be honest, I don't see a whole lot out there that seems good to bet. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at some tweets, and we'll have a wonderful Thursday. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Thursday edition for February 12th, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. It's great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope that you all had a wonderful rest of your Wednesday night. We're back here for the penultimate day of the week before our 3-day weekend that we have coming up here. So that's pretty cool. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here. Francis is going to be first here today. Welcome back, Francis. Good to see you. Early bird always gets the worm around here. Richard Judge, good morning. Welcome back. Sam, good morning. Sam says still not first, but in the top 5. Yo, y'all are in the top 5% of all people if you're joining this show, Sam. Don't worry. I just like shouting out that first one because that's what they do on streams. I like to get people involved early from the get-go, you might say. Brian, good morning. Brian adopting the Benzi Gang label. I kind of like it. I'm going to keep rolling with it. Producer, thank you for everything that you do on a daily basis. Buffalo by Bicycle, good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to rock? Cheap Trick lyric. You can never go wrong with classic rock lyrics. In fact, I borrowed that for my opener here today from the Talking Heads. James, good morning. Hit the like. Indeed, James. Appreciate that. Yes, that girl. Good morning. Welcome back. Jim, good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming in and hitting the like. I love that you folks are helping me. That way I don't have to ask you 8 million times throughout the course of the stream to like it. Just go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and easy. Richard Judge says, cue the happy music. Yo, that music does make me happy. It lifts me up every single day. And again, I can't think of a better way to start than with some happiness. That seems to be the magic equation. And that is something under everyone's control. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. James says his dentist has the same music. I don't know if that's good or bad. My dentist plays Netflix. I watch this guy go around to all the different parts of the world and try the food, which is kind of interesting for that to be on a dentist office. But nonetheless, good morning. Please hit the like. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Ryan, it's good to see you again. Welcome back. Wiss, good morning. It's good to see you as always. Day Trader, good morning. Welcome back. Azrar, good morning. Welcome back. James goes on to say, I can't believe how much faster Linux executes trades. Interesting. I guess that makes sense. Linux tends to do a lot of stuff better than Windows, but I didn't think trade execution would be on the list. What's your favorite Linux operating system? What GUI do you like? Cam, good morning. If we always want to buy the dip, why don't we screen for stocks at all-time lows and big dips? So first of all, Cam, you mostly want to buy the dip. There will be a time where stocks dip and then keep dipping. And at that point, you will not want to buy the dip. That's, of course, hard to figure out. Now, as far as the second part, why don't we screen for stocks at all-time lows? I've actually done that a few times. Maybe I wanted to cover using the government trades for another means that Tim Melvin mentioned. But you know what? Now that you're mentioning this, maybe I can show you how to scan for stocks that are down. Now, I don't know if we want to do all-time lows. That's actually something that we're looking to add still. But I think I got something for you here today. So I'll cover that. Bernhard, good morning. Welcome back. Marionetta, good morning. Welcome back. Who else am I missing here? Dusker, good morning. Welcome back. JJ, buenos dias, amigos. Indeed. Good morning. Nice to see you. Lambo Rolls, welcome back, my man. Marty, good morning. Zabeth Trades, good morning. Crankbait, good morning. Just some guy in Tennessee, good morning. Florida Yacht Insurance guy is back. Let's go, Florida Yacht Insurance guy. I know it's been cold down there, but I hope business has been well for you. We are definitely happy to have you back. It's good to see you again. Creation, good morning. Welcome back. Durkis, good morning. Welcome back. Neville, it's good to see you as always. Tyler and Billy, good morning. Day Trader says, today is my Friday. Congrats. You have a 4-day weekend? What are you doing with the 4-day weekend? That sounds exciting. Nights Lance, good morning. Welcome back. Philip, good morning. Welcome back. Robot to Trade, good morning. Welcome back. Eric, good morning. It's nice to see you. Brett, cheers. Good morning indeed. 08 Roush Stage 3 with the side exhaust, hopefully. Good morning. Welcome back. Just passing through. Good morning. Abby, good morning. Cam, good morning. Tara, good to see you again. Good morning. Peggy, welcome back. Good morning. Bob, top of the morning. Good morning. Archangel, good morning. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. Producer? All right, futures green across the board here ahead of Thursday's open. Mildly green, but green nonetheless. S&P futures up 0.24%, Dow futures up 0.17%, and the NASDAQ up 0.22%. We'll see if we can hold these gains into the open. We'll see what direction we go. U.S. stock futures rose on Thursday following Wednesday's decline. Futures of major benchmark indices were higher after the strong January jobs report. The January employment report revealed that the U.S. economy added 130,000 jobs in January, surpassing economists' expectations of 70,000 jobs. This was also a huge improvement over December, where 48,000 jobs were added. However, the jobs report also included sweeping benchmark revisions that erased roughly 898,000 jobs from payroll estimates from April of 2024 through March of 2025. On Wednesday, the Dow Jones Index declined, slipping after the record high close that it put in on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.175%, and the 2-year bond yield was at 3.502%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show the markets are pricing in a 94.1% likelihood of the Federal Reserve leaving the current interest rates unchanged in March. Remember, the last couple of days, that percentage, which initially started at like 95%, had been slipping. I told you that despite the slippage there, still looks like we're on pace for a pause here, and I would be shocked if we got anything other than that. Now, it looks like the CME's Fed Watch Tool is agreeing with that sentiment. I have several stocks in focus here for you today. The first one's going to be a big one that's pretty much in focus all the time. Okay. Stop freaking out here. How about that? First one here is Micron. Ticker is going to be MU. It jumped 3.33% in pre-market trading, continuing to gain following a surge of nearly 10% on Wednesday yesterday after Morgan Stanley raised its price target to $450, implying an upside of around 10% from the stock's closing price on Wednesday. Worth noting that Micron scores in the 99th percentile for momentum and the 97th percentile for growth. So we talked with Tim Melvin about growth and momentum together. Micron at the top of that list. The next stock on our list here is going to be Novocure. The ticker here is NVCR. Shares soared nearly 33% in Thursday's pre-market after the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved Optune Pax for the treatment of adult patients with locally advanced pancreatic cancer. The next stock on our list is going to be Fastly. The ticker here is FSLY. Shares were up nearly 43% in Thursday's pre-market session after the company reported a fourth quarter earnings result that beat expectations. Fastly reported earnings per share of 12 cents on revenue of $172.61 million. That beat expectations of a 3-cent loss on revenue of $161 million. As far as their guide goes, they see Q1 adjusted EPS of 7 to 10 cents. That's versus a 1 cent estimate. They also see sales of 168 to 174 million, and that was versus an estimate of 159.62 million. And then as far as full year 26, they see an EPS of 23 to 29 cents. That was versus a 14-cent estimate. And they see sales of 700 to 720 million versus an estimate of 667 million. So really the story here, yes, they beat, but story here is that the guide was really good, and that's what's driving Fastly higher here. Fastly has been really, really beaten down. So to Cam's point earlier here, Stocks that are beaten down often make these moves when some good news is present. The next stock on our list is going to be McDonald's. This is ticker MCD. They reported stronger than expected Q4 earnings and sales driven by its value offering and promotions. McDonald's CEO Chris Kempczynski stated that the company has improved traffic and its value and affordability scores by listening to customer feedback. More on that in a little bit. The final stock on our list is a show favorite. This is AppLovin, ticker APP. That reported better than expected Q4 results with an EPS of $3.24 on revenue of $1.66 billion. Wall Street estimated an EPS of $2.93 on revenue of $1.61 billion. However, AppLovin shares fell more than 4% in Thursday's pre-market session. They did see Q1 sales of $1.745 to $1.77 billion, and that was versus an estimate of $1.69. So looks like AppLovin pulling back even with a good report. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the SPY chart. And I'll be honest, I know I seem like a broken record when we keep looking at the SPY chart because really not a whole lot has happened. And we keep looking at the same levels and the same days here. Now, the good news starting off here is that we did close and still are holding above that 20-day moving average, which has been very indicative of trend. That value at 690.20, we're currently at 193.89. Here in the pre-market. So does look like we're setting for a higher open here. Again, we want to see if we can hold above these levels. Still feels like there is a possible move up to 700 here on the SPY. When is that going to happen? That's anybody's guess. Beneath the 20-day moving average, we still have the 50-day moving average at 687.56. And the 100-day moving average is sitting down there at 679.17. So we'll see if any of those levels get tested here today. It's also worth noting that we did have a little bit of a step up in volume, but it was still 10 million shares short of the 100-day average at the close yesterday. Let's take a look at some insights from analysts here. Analysts at the Charles Schwab Center for Financial Research noted that investors will be waiting for round two with the consumer price index set to be released on Friday. So get a little bit of a reprieve here today, but tomorrow we're going to get that CPI data. We'll see what the market thinks about that. Quote, the market is aggressively pricing out rate cuts for this year after the jobs report, end quote. That came from Kevin Gordon, head of macro research and strategy at the Schwab Center for Financial Research. The chances of a Federal Reserve rate cut next month fell dramatically to just 6% from 20% earlier this week, while chances of at least one rate cut by June now stand at less than 60%. That's down from 75% on Tuesday. Quote, the Fed looks vindicated in saying that there has been some stabilization in the unemployment rate. The three-month average for non-farm payroll growth shifted up to 73,000 in January, the highest since February of 2025, end quote. Now, initial jobless claims for the week ending February 7th will be released at 8:30, and January's existing home sales data will be out by 10. Fed Governor Stephen Miran will speak at 7. He's been recently saying that there is room for more rate cuts. So we'll see if anything changes or if we get anything of note out of that speech later tonight. Next story here. This is another continuation from a theme that we've been seeing here on the data center and AI trade. Anthropic vows to pay the full power bill for its AI data centers. Artificial intelligence startup Anthropic said on Wednesday it will shoulder the full cost of electricity price increases linked to its growing network of U.S. data centers, pledging that households won't be left paying for AI's expanding energy footprint. This is a huge worry. A lot of these companies are saying the same thing. It's good to see. Quote, we will pay for 100% of the grid updates needed to interconnect our data centers, end quote. The company wrote that in a blog post, adding that it will absorb expenses that might otherwise be passed along to ratepayers. The commitment comes as artificial intelligence infrastructure drives surging power demand across the country. Beyond covering interconnection expenses, Anthropic said it plans to procure additional electricity generation to avoid tightening local supply and inflating prices. The company also intends to deploy grid optimization tools to ease peak demand and maintain stable rates. Quote, the country needs to build new data centers quickly to maintain its competitiveness on AI and national security. Anthropic goes on to say, but AI companies shouldn't leave American ratepayers to pick up the tab. About time somebody's saying that. The announcement follows Anthropic's earlier comments to invest $50 billion in U.S. AI infrastructure, beginning with new data centers in Texas and New York. The build-out reflects a broader industry sprint to expand computing capacity as demand for generative AI services accelerates. Anthropic is not alone in ramping up investment, as we've reported before. Meta Platforms said in November it would commit $600 billion to the U.S. to advance AI technology, infrastructure, and workforce initiatives. Apple said in August it would boost its domestic infrastructure spending by another $100 billion, which brought its total to $600 billion. The scale of these commitments has intensified debate over who bears the cost of powering the AI boom. Meanwhile, electric and gas utilities sought $31 billion in rate increases from state regulators last year, more than double its $15 billion requested in the prior year. According to a recent study from nonprofit Power Lines, utilities frequently cite rising electricity demand from data centers as the primary driver. We'll see if that trend can stop. President Trump has publicly urged technology companies to ensure their facilities do not translate into higher monthly bills for consumers. Last month, Microsoft said it would structure its utility payments to fully account for the energy impact of its data centers and mitigate effects on surrounding communities. So this is going to be a theme that is talked about here. I would imagine any company that doesn't jump on board here or doesn't execute what they say they're going to do are going to face substantial headwinds. We'll see how this all shakes out here. This is certainly not going to be the last of all of that. Now let's talk a little bit about Novo Nordisk here. I know we've talked a lot about the GLP-1 angles. You guys have asked about HIMSS a lot. Lilly has obviously been the best winner in this space. It's actually the best for short-term trading too, is it continues to make these great moves. But there's a lot of talk about Novo. And again, going back to what Cam was saying earlier, we want to find stocks that are not necessarily at the highs, but ones that have been beaten down, and maybe, just maybe, we'll have a regression back to the mean there. So here's a look at Novo's daily chart. I think the key takeaway here is that back in 2021, this pushed into a range, just about $45 to $60. It traded sideways in there for some time. It looks like it entered there middle of 2021, and we didn't break out of there until November of 2022. So this was a full year of consolidation in this area. And that's notable because after Novo had a very, very clear head and shoulders that ended up resolving lower. Also, mind you, we had a death cross in here where the 50-day moving average crosses through the 200-day moving average to the downside. That's the yellow line moving through the blue line to the downside. That played out too. And now it actually looks like Novo is trying to produce some bottoming action here. We've tested 45 several times here. So far, we've held it. We're doing that on elevated volume, which is really good to see. And it looks like we're actually trying to make a curl move back up here for the first time since the death cross recently. This was back January 5th, I believe. January 7th, excuse me. We actually tested the 200-day. Now, we traded above it and got several closes above it, but we really couldn't hold it, and we came right back into the support level. So it begs the question, forgive me, if we hold this level, is this a tradable bottom? And perhaps we can make a move through several of these moving averages and really start to turn things around. Now, from a company perspective, Novo Nordisk's CEO, Mike Dustar, said the company aims to reach about 15 million new patients when Medicare begins covering obesity treatments later this year. While roughly 67 million Americans are on Medicare, he noted that around 15 million fall within the target group for the Danish drug maker's product. Dustar, in an interview with CNBC on Wednesday, said Medicare coverage and the rollout of Novo's new obesity pill, among other factors, are expected to increase prescription volumes gradually and help offset U.S. prices following the company's agreement with President Trump for lower drug prices. However, the CEO said that the Medicare coverage for obesity treatments is unlikely to expand quickly, noting that expecting rapid increases would be unrealistic. Dustar pointed to the slow uptake among commercially insured eligible patients as a sign that adoption will likely take time. He also said that the company is currently negotiating with the government to finalize the exact timing for the opening including the specific. Now, in November, Trump announced agreements with Eli Lilly and Novo to significantly lower the prices of their GLP-1 obesity and diabetes drugs. On the newly launched Trump RX website, Wegovy pills are listed at $149, roughly an 89% discount to prevailing market prices, while Wegovy and Ozempic pens start at $199 each. Meanwhile, Eli Lilly's Zepbound is priced from $299 per vial, reflecting an estimated 72% discount. The deals will also expand Medicare and Medicaid coverage for treatments starting in mid-2026. That's right around the corner here. Previous reports suggested that Medicare will begin covering approved injectable and oral GLP-1 obesity treatments for the first time, with patients required to pay a mere $50 copay. And so the big thing here is I'm kind of wondering, does this actually make for a nice ramp here for Novo or for maybe any of these other companies? Novo, the one that's really beaten down here at a support level. The deals, Novo is facing mounting pressure to regain market share in the fast-growing GLP-1 market amid competition from Eli Lilly and lower-cost compounded alternatives. On Monday, Novo sued Hims and Hers, ticker HIMS, by the way, for mass marketing cheaper, unapproved copies of its new Wegovy obesity pill and injections in the U.S. The company also issued weak guidance for its 2026 sales and operating profit. The sales outlook is being pressured by lower realized prices, including effects from the U.S. Most Favored Nations Agreement, patent expirations for semaglutide, and other international markets and rising competition. On the other hand, Eli Lilly expects revenue of 80 to 83 billion, surpassing Wall Street's 77.62 billion forecast, with the midpoint implying 25% growth. When asked how Novo plans to narrow the gap, Dustar said one of the approaches is to do better on the pill. Well, I'm glad he figured that one out. Benzinga Edge rankings place Novo Nordisk in the 77th percentile for quality, very low momentum score, although we know that can change rather quickly, and the 31st percentile for value, reflecting mixed performance. So you'll have to let me know what you folks think on Novo. Again, if we're thinking that the GLP-1 for obesity and diabetes is going to take the next leg up, what companies are going to be the beneficiaries of that? Is it one of these where you just go with the leader and you go with what's been working, which has been Eli Lilly? Or is this a situation where, you know what, maybe this has fallen out of favor and represents better opportunity cost for our investment? Lion here saying Novo is great value at this low price. That's kind of what I'm wondering here. So I would say, if you like this, and one other thing I didn't mention when we were taking a look at the chart, when I was talking about this consolidation area and how important it was, I didn't even mention that the volume point of control going all the way back to COVID, and actually pre-COVID on this chart, the volume point of control is $52.93, just about $53. We're at almost $49 here in the pre-market. So we are actually below that volume point of control. And if you think this is the turnaround point and a possible ramp spot for Novo, this actually looks like a pretty attractive swing trade opportunity. What say you, Lion? Or anyone else? Actually, Lion, you already said you think it's great value down here at that price. So Cam wants to know when the GLP-1 powder drink mixers are coming. LOL. I can't answer that for you, Cam, but I almost wouldn't be surprised. Like an AG1 type little thing that you put into a drink and then drink that in the morning. Anyway, Novo, let me know what you think on this for a potential trade. I'm interested, especially if this thing really starts to make a move. Next stock I want to take a look at is going to be ASTS. This is another show favorite. We've talked a lot about ASTS with some of the guests here. We've talked just a ton about the space theme and all of that. We recently had a nice bounce off of the 50, and today, down 10.25% here. This drops us beneath the 50. It sure looks like this is setting up for a move down to that 100, which is down here at $78. At least that's what the chart is saying here. Now, what's going on here? ASTS, AST Space Mobile, the stock tumbled in the pre-market on Thursday following the company's announcement of a $1 billion convertible senior notes offering. Actually, I'll have to ask 13. I don't want to put him on the spot, but I believe he said that was kind of expected, or at least at some point there. The space-based cellular broadband network company announced on Wednesday the pricing of a $1 billion aggregate principal amount of 2.25 convertible senior notes due in 2036 and a private offering to qualified institutional buyers pursuant to Rule 144A under the Securities Act of 1933. The sale is expected to settle on February 17th, subject to customary closing conditions. The note carries an initial conversion price of approximately $116.30 per share of AST SpaceMobile's Class A common stock. That represents a premium of roughly 20% to the last reported sale price of $96.92. Again, that's down here, another $10 just about. Per share on NASDAQ Global Markets of February 11th, excuse me. The initial conversion rate stands at 8.5982 shares per thousand principal amount of notes. AST SpaceMobile granted initial purchasers an option to purchase up to an additional 150 million aggregate principal amount of notes that's exercisable through February 20th. Now, the company estimates net proceeds of approximately $983.7 million, or roughly $1 billion, if the purchaser's options is exercised in full, $1.1 billion, after deducting discounts and expenses. AST SpaceMobile intends to use the proceeds for general corporate purposes, including accelerating the deployment of controlled spectrum bands globally, monetizing proprietary technology for AI-related commercial opportunities, enhancing investment in U.S. government space opportunities, and reducing high-interest debt and pursuing opportunistic investments, whatever that might be. AST SpaceMobile separately announced registered direct offerings totaling 6.33 million shares of Class A common stock scheduled to settle on February 20th. The company also entered into a privately negotiated transaction to repurchase approximately 46.5 million of existing 4.25% convertible notes and 250 million of existing 2.375 convertible notes. So this is what's driving ASTS lower. Again, as far as the chart goes, we really kind of coughed up the 50 there, which leads me to believe that we are probably going to want to try and find some support or settle around the next support area. I would think that that would be the 100-day moving average, but we shall see on that. All right. Next stock that I want to talk about, I got a lot of show favorite stocks here today that are moving, and a lot of these are in themes that we have been discussing, like ASTS in the space theme. But we've also talked about the battery theme here. We've traded QuantumScape quite a bit. The stock likes to move around a bit. This took a 1.34% hit yesterday and is now getting hit again here in the pre-market. You can see we're right down trying to defend the $8 level. That puts us still above the recent low from February 5th and above the 500-day moving average at about 7.25. But it sure looks like this wants to test those recent lows and perhaps probe the area lower. The 750 level and that 723 level, I think that area in there actually might make for some good support. So perhaps we are almost done with this pullback. Why is it pulling back, you ask? Well, I'm glad. QuantumScape shares declined in Thursday's pre-market session after the solid-state battery developer reported fourth quarter earnings results on Wednesday. They were no bueno. QuantumScape reported a fourth quarter loss of 17 cents per share. That beat the estimate for a loss of 18 cents per share. The company ended the period with $970.8 million in total liquidity. Capital expenditures totaled $12.3 million in the fourth quarter and $36.3 million in the full year for 2025. Customer billings came in at $19.5 million in 2025. QuantumScape said it completed all four goals set at the beginning of 2025, including the baseline of the Cobra process, shipping of Cobra-based QSE-5 cells, installation of equipment for Eagle Line, and expansion of commercial engagements. Quote, "We believe we have a diverse group of customers and application opportunities, a robust and growing partner ecosystem, and a differentiated technology platform that is both continuously improving and capturing the benefits of increasing scale," end quote. That was in a letter to shareholders, by the way, from the company. For 2026, the company's core focus will be demonstrating scalable production of its solid-state battery technology using the Eagle Line. QuantumScape also plans to work closely with global automaker customers to meet requirements and co-develop industrialization strategies. So does this maybe mark the bottom, or does that support level that we just identified on the chart perhaps mark the bottom? Let me know if you like this. Let me know if you like to use buy. Lion, I'm sorry. I'm lost, man. I have no idea what you're talking about. But as far as QS goes here, let me know if you are bullish on the battery theme. Has QS declined enough from its hyped high to actually purchase? Here are some ratings for you with the stock. It has an average stock price forecast of 782. Again, we are basically right there, currently at 810 here in the pre-market still. Morgan Stanley has an equal weight rating with a price target of $12. Evercore downgraded to in line, but raised the price target to $12. And HSBC downgraded it to reduce and raises the target to $10.50. So you'll have to let me know what you think here on QuantumScape for a potential trade. Now, next stock here, McDonald's. Now, first of all, if you recall, back when this thing was trading between like 3 and 315, we're really kind of waiting for a breakout from the sideways area. That lasted most of 2025. We were charting, we were trying to play it off some of the support levels here, but we never really got a clean break higher. Now it sure looks like we are about to test that. Maybe McDonald's ends up going for another leg higher here. RSI still not quite at overbought, although very close. Now, what might drive it here? You guys will have to let me know if you think this is legit or not. McDonald's is adapting its menu as growing numbers of Americans go on GLP-1 weight loss drugs, such as Ozempic and Wegovy. They alter portion sizes, snacking habits, and beverage choices. Now, during a Wednesday earnings call, CEO Chris Kempczynski said McDonald's is testing menu items to appeal to customers that are taking GLP-1 medications. Quote, as adoption grows, we know consumers' behavior changes, end quote. Okay, so first of all, I'm glad that they said that, because this is something that our groups have been talking about quite a bit. We actually suspected a lot of these companies would falter or have less impressive sales because of this. Maybe that's why McDonald's traded sideways here. The bottom line here is that they definitely realize that there is a shift among their customer base, and if they're going to, I don't want to say stay competitive because it's McDonald's, but if they're going to perform well, they must change as well. He noted that these customers tend to favor protein-rich meals, so you know what that means. Here come the protein meals. That's a lot of these fast food restaurants. I mean, we already saw the new product from Subway, the Protein Pocket, which is like one of the dumbest names for a snack I've ever heard, but that's neither here nor there. Vice President Jill McDonald highlighted high-protein options already on the menu, including snack wraps, sausage biscuit sandwiches, and McCrispy strips. Quote, we're also seeing changes around maybe less snacking, changes in some of the beverages that they drink, like less sugary drinks, end quote. That came from CEO Kempczynski. Yeah, the sugary drinks thing, that is proliferating across the nation. Jill McDonald confirmed the company has longer-term plans to serve this customer segment, but did not provide further details yet. GLP-1 drug adoption in the U.S. has been rising steadily, with an estimated 10% of the population using these medications. Some forecasts have like up to 30% of the population using these drugs, whether it be for obesity or diabetes. And I mean, that's a triple from where we're at here. Of course, these drugs suppress the appetite and reduce food intake. The trend is prompting companies across the food industry to adjust. Conagra Brands and General Mills are offering smaller portions labeled GLP-1 friendly, which is amusing to me. While Shake Shack announced its Good Fit menu. How many of you have gone to a burger joint for a Good Fit offering? Just wondering. That features high protein and lettuce wrapped burger options. I like lettuce wrapped stuff. It's like messy, right? Maybe you guys have a pro tip on how to make that not as messy. Earlier this week, McDonald's reported strong fourth quarter 2025 results, which beat analyst expectations with revenue of $6.83 billion and earnings per share of $3.05. The company's $5 meal deal helped boost U.S. same-store sales by 9%, appealing to budget-conscious customers amid rising grocery costs. Last year, McDonald's stock climbed nearly 5% in a month, fueled by the $5 meal deal, which boosted U.S. same-store sales by 9% as customers sought affordable options amidst those rising grocery costs we just talked about. While facing pressure from menu price increases and softening demand, especially among low-income customers, McDonald's pursued global growth, announcing plans to open 2,200 new restaurants and introduce fan-favorite items like snack wraps and the new chicken strips. So simply put, let me know, do you think this hits? I think this is kind of silly. From everything that I don't take GLP-1s because I'm trying to do everything natural here, but from what I understand about those that do is it makes you not want to eat junk food. You literally get sick. So adjusting the size, yeah, maybe that helps a little bit. I don't know about you folks, but when I eat something and I immediately feel terrible after it, I tend not to eat that anymore. That's just how it goes. So I wonder if this is going to have any impact. Lion here saying McDonald's food is pure garbage, and that's the way I feel. I mean, there's not a whole lot of nutritional value, if any, really. It's got its own taste that people become used to over the course of their lives, but not good food. Not good food. Peter here says In-N-Out has protein style offerings. Not surprised to see that. I expect we're going to continue to see more of that. Yeah, and I'm sorry for mixing up White Castle and Shake Shack in there. That was definitely not great. Cam says, honestly, it'll work. People with busy schedules and wanting to feel good about their food selections will surely buy this. So maybe you're right. The producer here offering some thoughts here. Everyone and their mother are marketing protein in their food now. Dunkin' Donuts is doing it. Starbucks has like a new protein line where you just pour protein right into the drink. So I see this going. I just wonder, is this actually going to work? I still think that if you're on GLP-1s and you're eating fast food, it is a recipe for disaster. I don't know how much this is actually going to help, but we'll see. We'll let the consumers determine that. It's just marketing. It's just that's the other thing producers saying here. It's just marketing. It's probably not real protein. Look, the secret to this, it's always been the same. Eat whole, real foods. That's as simple as it gets. Whole, real foods, not the processed garbage that is easy to come by. Sometimes it tastes delicious. I get it. Whole, real foods, always going to be the right choice. Okay, next here, I want to talk about Baba. We got asked about this yesterday in the happy hour. It's got a very interesting chart. This is probably I almost want to say the most popular Chinese name. I certainly don't want to say the safest, because the second I say that, something terrible will happen and I'll look like a complete doofus. But nonetheless, Baba here, really popular, obviously has an AI offering, cloud offerings, the whole 9 yards. We got asked yesterday, do we think this can actually move up to the 200 level where there happens to be a lot of analyst price targets to it? And I took a look at the chart, and there were a lot of things that kind of stood out here for me. First of all, the next fib level, the next Fibonacci level above where the current price is basically 197.65. That is so close to 200, you might as well just call that 200. In fact, if I drew my lines a little bit differently, perhaps it would be even closer to 200. We also have this really nifty pattern that is connected by this trend line here. So we have impulse moves, pullbacks, consolidation, followed by impulse move, pullback, consolidation, impulse move, pullback, consolidation, impulse move. So if the pattern holds here, is 200 possible? Well, first of all, looking at the chart, it absolutely is. There's a number of things that point to 200 being possible here. But what's actually going to drive it here? What's actually going to make this trade back up towards some of its all-time highs or thereabouts? Is it Quen? Well, Quen, their AI tool, is sparking a shopping frenzy with 120 million orders. Chinese consumers accelerated their shift towards AI-powered commerce during the Lunar New Year, driving a massive spike in activity on Alibaba's Quen platform. Chinese consumers embraced AI-driven shopping during that Lunar New Year holiday, placing more than 120 million orders on Alibaba's cloud flagship artificial intelligence app, Quen, within 6 days as the company rolled out a multi-billion yuan promotional campaign. Alibaba Cloud and AI and cloud computing arm of Alibaba said nearly half of those orders came from residents in countries and hinterland areas. About 1.56 million people aged 60 and above made their first online purchase through Qwen, SCMP reported on Thursday, citing a company statement. Now, I know you would have to believe what the Chinese company is saying, but nonetheless, seems like impressive data. The surge followed Alibaba's Lunar New Year campaign, launched on February 6th, under which it plans to distribute 3 billion yuan or 431 million USD in incentives through Qwen. Alibaba ramped up Qwen promotions as competition for consumer AI apps intensified. Founder Jack Ma visited the Qwen office ahead of the holiday incentive push. The effort forms part of a broader red packet war ahead of the Spring Festival, with mainland tech rivals Tencent, that's ticker TCEHY, on the OTC, and Baidu, ticker BIDU, on the NASDAQ, also offering incentives to draw users to their AI apps. Internet data service Quest Mobile said the Spring Festival has become a key battleground for tech companies seeking to turn their apps into entry points for the AI era. Alibaba said the campaign had triggered a behavioral shift towards AI-powered shopping. We heard something similar from Shopify. I think they had, I don't have the notes in front of me, but I believe they reported a 30% increase in shopping using the AI tools. So it's not specific to Alibaba. Which it expects to become a more common lifestyle choice. Quest Mobile data showed sharp gains in daily active users for 4 major AI apps. Qwen also moved to the top of China's Apple App Store rankings within hours of the campaign launch and held the number 1 position from February 6th to 11th. The push has also supported other services within Alibaba's ecosystem. Alibaba previously said it was integrating Qwen with its broader platforms, including Taobao and Shanggu for shopping and on-demand delivery, Fliggy and Demai for travel and ticketing, and Alipay for payments. So let me know. I feel like Baba is an often traded stock. Let me know what you folks think of it. Do you like Baba here? And perhaps more importantly, do we think that the AI angle here is enough to drive it to that $200 price point? Let me know. Let me know. We'll take a look at Baba. I haven't noticed much unusual option activity in Baba. That's one where normally you do see some pretty heavy option flow. So maybe I'll keep my eyes peeled for that. All right. And then one more thing here. Trump orders the Pentagon to buy, quote, lots of coal, end quote. President Trump signed an executive order on Wednesday directing the Department of War to buy electricity from coal-fired power plants, aiming to support the struggling industry. The order requires the Pentagon to enter purchase agreements for an unspecified amount of coal-generated power. Additionally, the Energy Department will allocate $175 million to upgrade 6 coal plants across Kentucky, North Carolina, Ohio, Virginia, and West Virginia. Quote, we're going to be buying a lot of coal through the military now, end quote. He also highlighted that Tennessee Valley Authority, or TVA, the country's largest public utility, plans to delay the closure of 2 of its older coal-fired power plants in Tennessee, Kingston Fossil Plant and Cumberland Fossil Plant, as announced by the company on Tuesday. Trump, who has called climate change concerns a hoax, labeled the coal as vital to U.S. national and economic security in April and issued multiple executive orders aimed at increasing coal production. This affects stocks that we look at regularly, namely Peabody, which is ticker BTU. Now, Peabody CEO James Gresh said that on the company's earnings call earlier this month that coal remains a uniquely abundant U.S. energy asset and argued it would be, quote, irresponsible, end quote, not to use it for national benefit. Now, chairing the reconstituted National Coal Council, Gresh emphasized coal's strategic value for long-term energy security. Now, this plays into the entire energy theme that we have talked about, where especially as AI proliferates, it's going to be extremely important to use multiple sources of energy. Coal is everyone's least favorite, obviously. But in order to meet the energy demands, this stuff, which is already there and abundant, is going to need to get used. What's lost in here is, well, some of these coal stocks might benefit from this. We have already seen a more I almost want to call it meteoric run in some of the solar names. So it just goes to show you this also kind of dovetails with the theme that energy is going to be extremely important here in 2026 and likely beyond that as well. Southern Company CEO Chris Womack, for any of you that have seen The Rock, that name Womack really brings out a bit of nostalgia. Anyway, Chris Womack echoed support for extending coal plant operations as long as it's needed to maintain grid reliability, and that's the key there. Again, this comes down to grid reliability, national security, and the proliferation of AI. Yale analysts noted that at least 15 coal plant retirements have been delayed, some indefinitely, while Peabody said coal generation rose about 13% year over year with further growth potential. However, the International Energy Agency, the IEA, in its latest report projects that while U.S. coal consumption may see near-term growth, it will begin to fall by about 6% annually through 2030 as renewables and natural gas expand and older coal power plants shut down. The other thing that's on here that's not mentioned, probably because the timelines for putting some of these reactors online can vary and can be ripe with problems. Remember, there seems to be an appetite to expand into clean nuclear energy as well. And so I think all of these are going to represent headwinds for coal. But as we've been telling you for a while, it's going to be a bit before all of this stuff just kind of goes away. And in fact, we're actually hearing here from experts in the industry that there might actually be some short-term growth. John Kester, you get bonus points today. It's a grunge thing. Another great quote from nearly the same scene there in The Rock. So really good. You get bonus points today, John. That's awesome. That actually makes me smile as well. Okay. All right, folks, that does it there for the news. I guess, one thing we should probably do a really quick check-in here on BTU since it was mentioned in that story. This is what BTU has done. It's worth noting that this stock on Liberation Day was single digits. This thing had broke 10 to the downside. It is nearly $40 here. Sure looks like a $40 test is coming next. Here's BTU. No position for me. Certainly wouldn't buy this, but if we get a near-term pullback here, despite it being dirty and no one really liking it, it might be a potential play. We shall see. Okay, folks, I do have a couple of tweets that I wanted to go over. Let's go ahead and start our Street Tweets segment here today. Okay, first tweet here. This is going to be from our friend Gene Munster. Shares of Apple down 1.2% versus the NASDAQ, which is only down 0.3. On Gurman's reporting that the new Siri is further delayed by 3 to 7 months underscores how low of a bar investors have on Apple Intelligence's potential. If investors had high expectations around the new Siri, the stock would have been down much more. But Apple's bottom line, the bottom line is Apple Intelligence continues to hold optionality value for Apple investors. I believe they'll eventually get it right and will be a key beneficiary of what will be a significant personalized AI opportunity. So this has been kind of a big, let's call it a battle for Apple. We've talked a lot about how they're extremely behind, at least they feel extremely behind in AI. We got news yesterday that Siri was going to be delayed. We didn't really get much of a reaction. Looking at Apple here in the pre-market, it's down another $1.30. So perhaps we get some extended losses today on the back of this. Gene Munster here is telling you, though, yeah, we might pull back, but there's still going to be an opportunity. And eventually, as Apple has proved before, when they do release things, they generally hit. Looks like Gene here is saying that Apple Intelligence can still be a growth driver for Apple when it is released. My thought on this, I'll believe it when I see it. Apple's got other things that I can already see, like its amazing balance sheet and its device, which continues to outperform. In fact, one of my buddies who notoriously does not upgrade his phone very often because he does that for his wife. He's told me, Ryan, happy wife, happy life. So I upgrade her phone first, which means I often don't upgrade my phone. I was like, that's very good of you. Even he went ahead and bought multiple phones during the cycle because the 17 is so much better than what he was using. So I'm not sure how much of a driver Apple Intelligence is actually going to be. Producer, maybe you have some thoughts. You're in the Apple ecosystem. Give them to me if you have them. I'm not sure what kind of growth driver this can be, but it is encouraging that Apple wasn't really blasted from the news that we got yesterday. Now, I say that ahead of the session here today. So let's see if I have to put my foot in my mouth later on in the day. Producer, next tweet. Next one here is also about Apple. This actually a little bit better. We got news yesterday that F1 producer Jerry Bruckheimer has confirmed that a sequel to the F1 movie on Apple TV is in the works. So first of all, where's Zach McCracken today? Where are my F1 fans? There seems to be a lot of them here in our group. Did you like the F1 movie? Is this a mover for you? Do you think that this is actually going to have an impact on Apple's stock price? Do you think that they bombed the sequel? Because the original was super popular. The movie was great cinematically, according to the producer. But I guess maybe not for the F1 nerds. I like F1 racing. I don't really like a whole lot. I like cars a lot, but I don't really like watching racing. The caveat there is F1. I've heard this movie is amazing. I haven't seen it myself because I don't have Apple TV. But judging by what I hear here, I would not be surprised if this is a net positive for Apple. Zach McCracken saying better late than never. Zach, what did you think about the F1 movie? And perhaps more importantly, are you excited for the sequel? And then as a bonus, do you think that actually helps Apple stock? Okay. Good stuff there on Street Tweets. One more thing here. I did want to give a demonstration of one of the features in Pro. I had talked about it briefly here not long ago. I can't place what day it is, but I actually wanted to go through and show you folks some really cool things that you can do. And I actually thought of another angle on this after speaking to Tim Melvin. So let's dive in. Again, first of all, as mentioned, we are going to be having a President's Day sale here on Benzinga Pro. So if you were near the fence, or if you were on the fence about buying it, perhaps this will be one way to push you over because we'll give you a discount here. I dropped the link there. So if you're someone that doesn't want to talk to somebody on the phone, go ahead and use that link there. But in honor of the President's Day sale, I am actually going to show you once again how you can use the government trades feature in Benzinga Pro to stay on top of what Congress is doing with stocks. Now, we have always discussed here that, I shouldn't say always, we have discussed multiple times that, man, it should be illegal for folks in Congress to trade. I agree with that completely. This is supposed to be a public service job. Let's make it a public service job, not a get rich off the back of taxpayers job. And by the way, before you guys all yell at me, that's on both sides. This isn't an R versus D thing. This is on both sides. Another great thing about the tool here is that it doesn't care about Republican or Democrat. It's just going to give you the info and it's going to let you make choices there. So let me show you how to set this up and some potential ways that you can use this to your advantage. We're going to go ahead and create a new workspace here, and we're going to select just the calendar tool, and we're going to hit create. The calendar tool defaults to the earnings calendar. We don't want that. We want government trades here today. So I'm going to go ahead and select government trades. Now it says that we've got nothing here because that's for today. So the very next thing that we're going to do is we're going to click on the date selector, which is just to the left of the dropdown. And then we're going to click on all. By doing this, we are then shown all of these different transactions. And then the next thing that we're going to do here is we are going to sort this by transaction date. So we are going to put the most recent date there at the top. And now we can get an idea of what the government is doing. So these are from filings. So the purchase amount or the trade amount is broken down into buckets. You can see what these folks are doing. Just at a quick glance here, and I actually confirmed this with Tim Melvin. I wanted to confirm my suspicion. We took a look here when we looked at this the other day, and this David Taylor, I don't even know who this is, but this David Taylor guy is doing a lot of transactions. And I took one look at this with Tim, and it sure looks like he's got somebody managing his investments. This, to me, looks like there's probably nothing going on here. This is just him altering positions, or his fund manager altering these positions in the given window. Nothing really stood out here. But that's not always the case. Sometimes things do stand out here. And let me show you what I mean. By the way, here's David Taylor again doing a lot of jostling in the same positions that we were just talking about. Now, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to use Nancy as an example. We're going to go ahead and filter for member name, and we're going to type in Nancy Pelosi, or just Nancy in this case. The first way that you can use this is you can see what doesn't make sense, what looks different from the normal trading activity. And indeed, when we filter for only Nancy here, you see that we have a lot of trades in and out of these different tech names. This is what we've covered quite a bit. This is how she's made a ton of money. But the interesting thing here is not all of that we already know all about, was that her most recent purchase was for this ticker AB, Alliance Bernstein, which is an investment management firm that also pays a nice dividend. She spent between $1 and $5 million on this. So just looking at the chart here for one individual member of Congress, you can take a look at the different stocks that they're purchasing and say, what stands out here? What looks a little bit different for this individual person? And of course, we don't have to pick on Nancy. You can put anyone's name in here and search for that. But Tim Melvin brought up a really, really good point. He said, the other thing that you can use this for is that if you know that there is a vote coming on something that's in the zeitgeist or something that's being discussed on a regular basis, you can actually search for those tickers and see if maybe there's any convenient positioning ahead of that. So one of the examples that we've talked about recently has been some of the crypto legislation that is going on. Well, I can't think of a better stock to look at than Coinbase, because Coinbase is certainly going to be impacted by some of the changing regulations for crypto. And so now, instead of looking for an individual member, we can actually filter this data based on stocks. So here for Coinbase, looking at this, I can see at the end of last year, Gilbert Ray Cisneros purchased a whole bunch of this, also sold some. Looks like he was trading back and forth in this. And I would then maybe see if there are increased purchases around some. Does somebody know something? Again, what we're looking for here is what stands out as odd, what stands out as not normal. And I think when I showed this before, I think I showed you that you can search by member name, but it's also worth noting that you can search by ticker as well. So if you know that there's something out there about gun regulation, for example, maybe that would affect some of the gun stocks. Crypto, maybe it would affect Coinbase or Circle, the stablecoin stock. So if you know something is coming up here, or if you're really wanting to do some more due diligence and you look up what some of these votes are coming or are coming up, perhaps then you can back into some of these trades, or maybe even monitor this and see if you can develop a pattern. So a really cool tool. I'm just trying to tie it to President's Day. You can use this to stay on top of everything that our government folks are doing. Okay. Sell saying, what about the pot stocks? Really good idea. Now, I don't know if any of here we go. Let's see what the date was on this. So this was back in 2021. So it looks like he still got that. Yeah, it looks like this John Yarmuth still has CGC. That's a really good example, Sell, of how you can kind of think about, hey, what's coming up here? And then think about the stocks that might be impacted by that, and then search for the stock and see if you can't find any unusual positioning. In the case of our example here with CGC, the last purchase here was back in 2021. I don't think there's any shadiness going on with this. So super easy to use tool, super lightweight. I know it's sometimes a little bit hidden within Pro, but there you go. Multiple use cases for using that. All right. Now, one more thing. I did want to really quickly talk about some of the prediction markets. We took a look at this last Thursday. Figured we'd take a look at it again. I'll be honest, when I came in here, there didn't none of these look intriguing to me. I actually was discussing with the producer here, like this to me, like it feels even worse, right? It feels even worse. Just a quick look at the page here. Obviously, the Olympics are going on, so a lot of these are going to be dominated by the Olympics. If you you can break these down into some of the other buckets here, but it's like, who would bet on this? I think that's the key that I left from. Who would bet on this? Who would win Beast Games Season 2, player 167 or 172? I mean, why would you bet money on this? I guess I'm asking you folks to tell me what's the why do this? Who will attend the State of the Union? A Supreme Court justice or Barron Trump? Like, why would you bet on that? I don't really think that I get it. I think one of the other interesting things here is that it almost seems like the big disruption here. If I look at the trending tab, the big disruption here might be to sports betting names. This is something that 13 kicked around before. Maybe stocks like DraftKings or Flutter might suffer because folks are using prediction markets a little bit more. And the producer's mentioning it here. I've heard this before as well. I've seen tweets on this about people actually using Kalshi and Polymarket to create like side incomes. What's not mentioned in that is that you actually have to win these bets, which is not always very easy. And again, look at this homepage. These are almost all sports. There are a couple here. You have to scroll down to get to Congress, but for the most part, it's just putting sports right there on the top page. And I mean, some of these, again, just very, very strange. Here is the culture tab of Polymarket. The three of the top four things in the all tab here are you betting on the number of Elon Musk tweets. Why? I guess thinking about it hits it here. People will bet on anything. It's called Sky Masterson syndrome. I don't even know what Sky Masterson syndrome is, but I think on the surface, I got to agree with you. They will literally bet on anything. So, will GTA 6 cost $100+? I mean, will Jesus Christ return before 2027? Some of these things don't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But I want to remain open-minded. If you have something here that you think is awesome, give it to the group. We'll take a look at it and we'll see. Day trader, I'm on your team on this one. I don't get the appeal of prediction markets. Maybe it's because I haven't won 50 grand off of a $100 bet yet. Maybe that's why. But man, don't get it. Nonetheless, let me know if you have any really good prediction market bets. I would love to hear them, and then we can discuss it as a group. Maybe at some point, if you folks are interested enough in this, we can open like a communal account here and maybe try some. I don't want to make promises I can't fulfill, and I certainly don't want to turn you folks away from investors and traders into gamblers. That would be going the wrong direction. Okay, good morning to everyone that's joining a little bit late here. And while I was rambling there, it's time. We're going to break down the movers. Let's bring on 13, see how he's doing here today. All right, 13, good morning. Welcome.
Hello, how are you? How's everybody?
I'm doing good. Let me just start right off the bat here. Will Grand Theft Auto 6 cost more than $100?
Will Grand Theft Auto come out at all?
Okay, so that's not bad, 13.
Yes, it'll cost at least $100.
Okay.
Video games are getting jacked up in price. Everything's expensive. Yes, it'll be over $100 if it ever gets released.
Okay, so it seems like the better bet there is whether it will be released or not. Forget the price. Okay, let's dive right into some of the movers.
That's more of a
here.
joke about the release, but yes.
What's that?
It's more of a joke about the release, but yes, I think it'll be $100.
Yeah, and producers reminding us it'll be $100 for the game, and then there'll be a $100 DLC pack too that you have to buy for it. And now we're talking $200. Okay, really good stuff there, folks. That was for you thinking about it, by the way. All right, let's go ahead and cover the movers here. Sure. I'm excited today. A couple of reasons. Number one, we don't have any 100% runners. I guess, you know what? Maybe I should remove the penny stock filter before I say that
No, we don't.
We were close. We were close with the penny stocks, but still that holds true. We have no 100% runners here today. But furthermore, if you remove the penny stocks, the literal penny stocks from the list here, the first stock on the list is a real company that we have really traded before. This is Fastly, and you can see the move here on Fastly. This is up 40%. It was actually up like 43+% earlier, and this is moving on the back of its earnings report. We talked about that. It was a really good beat, good guide for both the next quarter and for the full year here. That's what's driving this higher. Quick peek here at the short interest on Fastly for a bigger stock, elevated. 9.93% of the float shorted as of the recent batch of data that we got. By the way, I know we had talked a couple of days ago, maybe, about the data being a little bit stale. Just want to alert you that as of February 10th, we have that freshest data from the filings. So we do have fresh data that we're working off of now. 9.93% of the float shorted with 3.87 days to cover. Stock here on average trades 4.24 million shares. Today it's done 4.5 million shares. Float, none of these real stocks are going to be low float. So 140 million there. Intact, short, medium, and long-term trend. 13, let me ask you, do we trade Fastly here today? Do you like this?
This is the heaviest float one that I looked at today.
Yep.
Not sure if we're going to get great movement. Now, we might out of the gate when there's more attention being paid on it. But as soon as that volume starts to dry up, I think this is going to, that weight of the stock, the market cap is going to, pull it down. The share structure is going to pull it down. And right now, it's trying to get some support from the 65 EMA, which, if we lose, the next support that I think it's going to come down to is going to be about 1275, maybe a little bit lower, around 1250. So in there. So that's the way it looks right now. The earnings were great. The guidance was great. This is, I think, the first or second profitable quarter they had. So they have cash. They're now profitable, and they're guiding that they're going to be profitable for the rest of the year. So that's great news. No worries about them on the cash side there or the financial side. I'm just more concerned about the way their chart looks in the pre-market here. So got to see if we can recapture the VWAP, which I have at 1327. We're not headed that direction at the moment, so we need to see that support from the 65 EMA kick in and reverse so we can take that out.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff there on Fastly. We'll see if we get a trade. This thing's moved quite a bit already. I am almost thinking if we get one of these moves where we dip out of the open and then rally, we'll see if we get that type of setup. Okay. Next stock here. Again, not a terrible small piece of junk. This is Novocure, ticker NVCR. We actually covered this in the stock market today section. This stock spiked in the after hours yesterday. It's retraced about 50% of the move, but it actually looks constructive here in the pre-market. We held the 65 EMA and we actually recaptured the VWAP. We're trading above the VWAP now, and it looks like this thing's trying to make a run towards 15. As a reminder here, US FDA approves Novocure's Optune packs for the treatment of locally advanced pancreatic cancer. That's what's driving this higher here, FDA approval. Quick peek at the short interest on this name, 11.23% of the float shorted with 7.69 days to cover. So although the percent of float short does not reach our high threshold, this is absolutely still elevated, and the days to cover does meet our high threshold. On average, stock trades 1.54 million shares of volume. Today, it's done 1.8. Float here on this one is just about 71. So 13, what do you think of the news, and what do you think of Novocure here, ticker NVCR?
So the news I didn't, jump too much into. I was also taking a look at the $47 price target. I think that's a little ambitious. The company, they have cash and revenue, but they're not profitable. They lose, tens of millions of dollars every quarter. But such is the life for a biotech and healthcare pharmaceutical company. So I don't think they're going to need to raise capital. So that's not the concern of mine. I think it's just, like Fastly, this is a little bit of a heavier float. So we might get some good movement out of the gate. But as that volume dries up, it's likely going to be a little bit heavier to trade. And right now, we're trying to come back up to this resistance area that was formerly support in the after hours yesterday. That's going to be 1450. As the price came back in after hitting a high of 1683, 1450 was the support. And then we finally lost that after about 15 minutes of getting support down in that area. So we're coming back up to try and test that, break out of it. 1450 is the big spot I think we have to get over on our way back up. We're still above VWAP, so that's encouraging. I think that's what I'd be keeping an eye on as we approach the open, as they move over 1450.
Okay, good stuff there. NVCR. We'll see if we get a trade on that. Okay, next.
Sorry, they also, did you happen to point out their short interest? It's 11.23%,
I did.
7.69. Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
that could help push that over 1450 once we open.
Elevated on the percent of float short, actually considered high on the days to cover metric. Okay, next here is going to be JDZG. This is JIAID. This is definitely one of the junkier stocks.
Yeah.
I'm encouraged here because the top three of the top four stocks here are real companies that people enjoy. And we will take a look at app here, folks. Believe me.
We'll look at App Hood. I want to look at the ones that reported. Absolutely.
You got it. And Cisco probably is going to be on there. Okay, so we only have a couple more. Let's just knock them out here real quick. JDZG. This is JIAID. I don't know how it's supposed to be said properly, I'll be honest with you. But nonetheless, this is popping here on no news, at least none that I could find, none here in the feed. Does look like this is just kind of a volume mover. It didn't really do much of anything the last couple of days. And then for some reason today, this is just rolling higher here. Quick peek at the short interest, negligible on both metrics. Nothing basically for percent of float shorted and only 1.15 days to cover. That's nothing. On average, stock trades 200,000 shares or less than that. It's done 27 million here today. Float on this one is 20 million, 13. I think with some of the other stocks that we have here, probably will avoid this today. But do you have any thoughts on the chart or anything?
I think it'd probably be a better idea just to look for something else. If you feel compelled to trade it, don't let it stop you. But they do have a mixed shelf offering they put out there. I think it was earlier this month or last month. So they do need cash. I don't think this is really going to be one that we want to try and trade. It's already starting. It already lost its VWAP, and it's trying to get some support from the 175 area, which it currently is getting. But if it can't get back above that VWAP, I think this is certainly going lower. Down to the 65 EMA would be my next downside target. Maybe a stop at 160 first.
Okay, awesome. Next one here is B Bio. This is Bridge Bio. Shares are trading higher after the company announced Propel 3 successfully met the primary endpoint of change from baseline in AHV at week 52. Excuse me. So positive data here for BBIO. Stock is holding higher here by 15%. I love the fact that although we did.
All right, folks. Let's see what I can. Oh, here we go. Let's see what I can talk about.
It's been doing this at the same time about every morning. It's my internet connection. Nothing looks out of place here. So sorry about that. Anyway, let me keep going here. This has retraced some of its impulse move, but it's done a really good job just kind of holding steady right here. So perhaps this actually makes a move higher here on volume. Volume is going to be the key here on BBio. If we get it, if it starts to flow like some of the other biotech stocks that we've seen recently, this very well might trade back up towards that pre-market high. Just saying. Quick peek at the short interest on this name. 17.47% of the float shorted with 7.14 days to cover. So elevated on percent of float short, high on days to cover. This has more squeeze potential. 13. What do you think of BBIO?
This company loses a lot of money, but they do have a good amount of it. So they have a cash runway that I think, just double check this, that could last for at least another maybe 3 or 4 quarters for their start to get into some trouble. Short interest, I think that's going to be the big thing I'd be keeping an eye on. Not an eye on, but in focus as it tries to push up higher. We did get $93 in the pre-market earlier this morning, and we are still trying to hold. Actually, we're beneath VWAP right now. We lost VWAP after the big impulse move. We've been trying to recapture it. Only 2 successful closes on the 5-minute chart above it before we go back beneath. So that would be the thing I'd be keeping an eye on, is just trying to get back above the VWAP. It looks like $85 also is a pretty significant resistance area following the breakdown. Let's see if there's any sellers in the way there. At 85, there's one. So not sure if we'll see a big old pile up here as the market opens, but this is also very spread. Looks like at least 50 cents. So be careful if you're going to trade this. I wouldn't do any market orders. You don't know where the price is going to fill out at that stage. So this might not be a great one, but I don't think I would, take my eyes off it. This is, kind of going sideways. Let's see what we get out of the open if it manages to recapture VWAP, because if it does, we could go on a little bit of a move up.
Okay, good stuff there. B Bio. The only other one that I wanted to really kind of surface here is Verify Me. This is just because this is a theme that we have been talking about quite a bit. We're actually playing IDAI in this theme. So Verify Me here, this spiked up to 170, came back and actually looks like it's trying to break the VWAP. We take a look at what's going on here. Open World and Verify Me signed a merger agreement. So it looks like a blockchain infrastructure and real world asset tokenization platform today announced the execution of an agreement and plan to merge. The merger positions combines the entity as a leading infrastructure provider in the digital asset and tokenization sector. So this is good for us that are bullish on this tokenization, authentication, and identification theme.
Yeah.
But it's on a different stock here. Stock is up by 11%. Quick peek at the short interest, 1.5%, 1 day to cover. Do you have any thoughts on Verify Me?
Just their financials. They recently regained NASDAQ compliance, and I don't know. I think that might have been from a reverse split. I haven't looked, but just took a glance at their cash. They're still going to need to do something about their capital. I think they don't have enough to keep going, so they're going to have to raise at some point. It doesn't look like that was from a reverse split, so they just managed to get their price back up to over the minimum bid requirement. So that's how they regained compliance. I think they're going to have to do some kind of capital raise or something pretty soon, unless some of this revenue from these past agreements and deals starts to materialize on their balance sheet.
Okay. Good stuff there. Let's move over and take a look at some of those bigger names that you were talking about there, 13. I don't really see a whole lot else on here.
Yeah, me neither.
It is worth noting, I guess I'll just start with this here. It is worth noting Micron, just because these have kind of been in play recently. Micron is up another $15 here today. It actually looks like it might go for the all-time highs here next. We talked a little bit about Micron earlier and what's going on here. Morgan Stanley raised its price target to $450, and that implies like a 10% upside from where it closed before. So Micron, this is actually up here today. SanDisk was also up here today. So it looks like the memory name's not quite done here. SanDisk, man, this thing closed at $599. It's $641 here in the pre-market. We'll start with these 13. Are there any of these memory names that you like, whether it's chart, story, or otherwise?
Oh, well, I think that Micron is, and maybe even SNDK and some of the others, they could, I mean, Micron for sure, I think is going to be, I've talked about how it could be the next NVIDIA, just in terms of the stock's price action. We got our corrective move that we were talking about, the beginning of this month. Moved down from a high of 455 down to the 365 area. That's almost a 20% correction. So we got it, and that was the spot there to add. And now we've recaptured the 20-day SMA. I think this goes higher. All their production is already bought for the remainder of the year. So I think this is going to continue to have a great year, and maybe we see heavier selling next year because as we keep pointing out in happy hour, memory is a commodity, and it will fluctuate. But right now, it's super hot because it's in demand, and not enough is being made. So until that changes, I think Micron is going to continue to see upside.
Yeah, I don't think this one's done. This is something that we've been talking about quite a bit. And again, 450 price target, maybe that gets challenged even here today. So, okay, good stuff there with Micron. Let's go to App next. Then we'll do Hood. Here's App Lovin'. So I'll say the same thing I said in happy hour yesterday. I have a number of folks that I follow and talk to that are market related that I trust more than others. And I've seen a lot of them talking about App being a zero. I don't like calling stocks to zero because that almost never happens. But the Gotham City short report that came out here did a really good job outlining App and how it's really not all that great. We've really kind of started a downtrend here. 13, perhaps the greatest thing here was the recent game plan that you had outlined on this show. We had talked about this bouncing off of the 355 level. Mm-hmm. We talked about this turning around. It filled the gap. We talked about it potentially going to the 200, that being the resistance area before rolling back over and retesting the lows. Well, I'll tell you what, we got the gap fill. We did not quite get that 200-day moving average test. It's also around the round 500 number. but we got exactly what you had talked about. This thing started to roll over again. AppLovin shares are trading lower. The company reported Q4 financial results. I gave that stuff out earlier. They actually beat, right? EPS 324 beat the 395 estimate, and the sales of 1.745 billion to 1.77 beat the estimate of 1.69. But this stock, man, it has really started to slip. Now, this morning, BTIG maintains their buy on app, lowers their price target to 640. Needham reiterates their buy and maintains their $700 price target. I know Lion has a $700 price target here in the chat. What do you think on this one? My gut, I'll start. My gut is that we retest this area. I would actually be unsurprised if we tested the 310 at 500-day moving average.
So I haven't really been paying too much when it comes to this stock with regard to the financials or what have you. I think for me, what I've been keeping a closer eye on was the chart, the pattern that had emerged here, and this was a double top with and this is basically just how they resolve. You have the lower end of the trough. That tends to be a resistance area. If we break down beneath it, that's what we were coming back up to test. Didn't quite get back up there, but when we do break down from these double top patterns, we tend to retest that previous support area as resistance. Came close, still reversed off earnings. I think this goes down to the 500-day SMA. Where it goes beyond that, I'm not going to speculate. But I was trying to look for reasons why this may be trading lower despite the earnings print that they had. And I noticed that over time, as they continue to report earnings, their EPS growth has continued to decline, as has their revenue growth. So I think that could be a concern among investors, that this thing that their growth angle is starting to slow down, or at least their as far as their earnings go. So that may have communicated to some of these investors that it's probably not worth sticking around, and maybe there's a better opportunity at lower prices. Not going to argue about who thinks this is going to zero or not, but I think that's just based on what I've gathered here from seeing this decline in EPS growth and revenue growth. That could be one of the reasons why investors weren't sticking around. I don't know the exact reason. That's just what I've come up with. I think this still goes lower because of the chart, though.
Okay, there you go. Really good breakdown there. And this is great because I know we've got folks on both sides of this line here saying, don't listen to short sellers. They're wrong. I don't know what to tell you. Again, I got people that I trust that say that this thing is a zero for sure. Now, I'm not playing that, so I'm not putting any money behind that. But I would agree with you. I think the next move here is down. And you know what? If we go to this 310, if we go to this 500-day moving average, we will reassess when we get down there with what's going on. So I don't really think you need to make a further prediction beyond
that's probably a better idea. If we do end up getting down there to the 500, which I think we could, that would be a better time to look and see what's happening, see what the news says, see what's been going on with the stock at that point. Maybe there's some a turnaround story happening, or maybe even the market environment is changing to where software names are going to start coming back, and this could get a lift. So I think that's the better plan. I would wait this out if I was in a position in this.
Yeah, me too. And then one more thing here, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, 13, but we have a pitched down 50-day moving average. And if this continues for a long time, we might also then be staring at a death cross. That's a ways off for right now, but just something else to keep in mind there. Okay, good stuff there with app. Next one we want to take a look at here is Hood. Then we'll do NBIS and Cisco as time allows. Here's Hood. This chart actually looks similar, right? We had a huge rollover. This came down to 72, bounced a little bit, but it sure looks like this wants to retest things to the downside here. Now, Jay, you had brought up an interesting point here earlier. You had said, oh, you guys had that big discussion about ads, which as far as I'm aware, guys, I don't think we play ads here. I know YouTube does its own thing, but I don't think like we have a setting for that, but the producer will let you know. Real quick, Jay had said Hood is dead money. All their traders are losing money and their accounts are way down. So that's one angle of it. I see that. But the other thing is that being in the business here, I see that this is really becoming, I almost want to say, a dominant player. There are a lot of people that are taking notice of Hood. There are a lot of people that are moving here. I understand that those accounts might be down, Jay, but I think there's another angle here on Hood. And so I would actually be a little bit more encouraged to try and buy this if it really kind of settled out, and not to kind of do a repeat of what we were just talking about, but I would almost like something similar here on Hood. I would love for us to breach this 72 level. I would love for us to test the 500-day moving average. Better still, if we can trade beneath it and recapture it, I think that actually might shake out a lot of these folks here and allow us to start trading back higher. Now, one more thing here I mentioned on the last chart, facing an impending death cross. We are actually much closer to a death cross here on Hood. So something else to consider. 13, what do you think of this chart?
I think, remember how we talked about institutions leaving their positions at the end of October? I think this was one of them. So you look at a monthly chart, and I think you're going to see one of the things I'm going to get at here with the monthly chart. If you look at a monthly chart, since November started, we've just been in sell-off mode. Indeed. Now, what's great is that we did get some support from the 20-month SMA. So I think, for me, this is going to be this how I would view this. If we can get support here from the 20-day SMA, I'm sorry, the 20-month SMA, then I think we go sideways for a time, try to find some footing. If we lose this moving average, then I certainly think that we will go lower, so maybe even beyond your price targets. 67 is one area that I have marked off. Okay. I'm not sure that we're going to get down there. I'm really, looking or kind of leaning on this 20-month SMA to provide that support. I don't have a position in this, but no, we're not open. So I think that's what I'd be keeping an eye on here, and until there's some, more activity around this on the buying side. This isn't really one I'd want to touch, but it is interesting that we are getting support from that 20-month SMA. I would like to see some sideways price action before I feel comfortable about getting into this.
Okay, good stuff. I will say that this monthly chart has a lot of these support areas that are lining up quite nicely. So if that holds, maybe you have something here on Hood. A couple more comments here. I agree with Retro Texas here. Hood should see new tax return money coming in. I would imagine, Jay, just to kind of circle back to your point there, if a lot of these traders are losing money, then they're going to get tax returns. And if that's the case, and they're higher this year, which the early indications are that's exactly the case, you might see some more inflows into Hood. I think that Retro is spot on there. Also here, another comment that was pretty good here. Where is that? Hood. It's Flag Drone saying Hood hinges significantly on the Bitcoin price.
Oh yeah.
And I would totally agree with that. And I think, we talked about Bitcoin being at a potential support level. If that turns up, I think it would make sense to also look at Hood for turning up on that as well. Okay. You mean tax refunds, not tax returns. Yes. Sorry, Jim. You're absolutely right on that. And I apologize for making that mistake. Okay. That's Hood. Next here, we got some time. We got 3 minutes before the market opens. Let's take a look at NBIS. This has been one of those AI darlings. We've done a lot of charting on this one. Here's what it looks like. We made a really nice bounce off that 200, but we simply did not have the strength to get back above the 50. Straight up rejection there. It sure looks to me like a retest of the 200 is going to be on deck here. We shall see. We are also very close to, let me actually back this out a little bit. We are very close to the volume point of control that's up here right around $90. Got it at 89.54. Nebius Group shares are trading lower after the company reported worse than expected Q4 sales guidance. So the stock got hit yesterday for about 3.5%. It's down another 5% here today. Here's a look at that. Class A ordinary shares here, EPS of 68-cent loss. That beat the 114 loss estimate, but looks like the guide worse than expected here. So what I would say on this, especially with this being the AI theme, I would definitely think that you could be a little patient on this one. You could kind of wait for this to bottom out. What do you think on NBIS here, levels and action wise?
Well, it looks to me like it's kind of trading into a falling wedge. So it's those can be bullish. So at some point we should see a breakout of that, but we're not. This earnings is not going to take us near the top end of that. As a matter of fact, we might. I think we could end up going down and testing the bottom end of the wedge before we turn around and go higher. So I think for me, what I'd be keeping an eye on is whether or not we hold above the, what price are we at right now, actually? If we can hold above the 200-day SMA, that's the next big support area. But if we lose that, then it's the bottom of the wedge I'd be looking at. And that might take us down to just underneath 70 to test that. So I don't really have a whole lot more to add. That's just kind of what I'm seeing here with the pattern. Got to hold above that 200 if we want to turn around.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. NBIS. We are less than a minute till we open. Get your stuff ready. We're open. We were actually less than like 10 seconds till we open. So
that was good timing.
It was
All
pretty
right.
good timing.
Fastly's trying to push up here out of the gate. There it goes. Couldn't quite get to the 13.99 that we had in the pre-market.
See if it breaks that pre-market high on Fastly.
Trying to push up there right now. JDZG doing a whole lot of nothing. There's a big seller in the way at 184. Fastly is still pushing up a little bit. NVCR not doing a whole lot. BBio, that's dropped out of the gate here.
Fastly 13.99 is the pre-market high. It looks like it's trying to go towards that. We'll see if it's got the strength to break that. Pulling off of the spot now, but let's see.
All right, that was a nice jump up there. What else is moving right now?
VKTX, this also reported earnings. This is one that we have talked about. This actually has a nice little move out of the gate there.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a spread on this one. 50-cent spread. Careful there. Okay, so Fastly, here we go. Blew through that 13.99.
Sure did. Wow. All I had to do was take it off the screen, 13. Sorry, I'm frustrated.
Don't worry, don't worry. As a matter of fact, let me see if this trend line that I see here is going to give us a price target or if we just hit it. Nope, we could still go to this. That would take us to about $15, and we're on our way.
There we go. Good mention there on Fastly.
Let's see if we can get to 15. We're just 25 cents away.
Yeah, this is a huge pop. This stock is now up 58, 59%. This is actually moving better than the smaller junky movers.
Yeah, it is. And this is the largest float I looked at on the movers list. All right, so 14.97, almost at 15. And there, nope, there we go. All right, 15. This will probably come back in a little bit.
15.09. That was really good call there. All is rising. For those in chat who want to be rude over who you use, it doesn't matter who you use. It just matters who you are. You talking about Robinhood? Using Robinhood? I might have missed something there. Sorry about that. I don't really think it matters personally. And I actually, one of the things that I've said for a long time about Robinhood has done a much better job than some of its competitors at trying to acquire some of the younger users. Yeah. And for me personally, just wanting young people to become more interested in their own personal finance, that to me is, you can't even really price that. I think that is just a universally good thing. All right, let me keep rolling around here real quick. Baba's getting mentioned. That pulled back 1.2%. This is actually near yesterday's intraday lows.
All right, we took a little step back with Fastly, and now we're trying to push back over 15. PJ Trader is mentioning OSCR. We also have Kathy mentioning Seagate and Micron. Yeah, we looked at those. Rooster is mentioning Crocs. I like apparel because all those companies were getting hammered last year. I think they can do better this year. So Crocs is going to be in that same wheelhouse. Looks like we came back up to some of the levels from August of 2025 last year. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't say anything. All the memory names are doing the same thing. STX, WDC, Micron, SanDisk, they're all moving higher here. All of them. Really good breakouts on there.
All right. Cue up McConaughey. Everything's all right.
You folks think this is another one we didn't really cover this. Legacy Internet here, Cisco. This reported earnings got pretty much smashed down to about $78. Do you think this holds this area? Think this bounces from here?
Oh yes, Cisco. We didn't look at. Let's see here.
Had a lot to cover this morning, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't recall. Let me look at my notes because I think we talked about where this could go and where the support might be. Let me just double check the notes here from Happy Hour.
Really quick, while you're double checking those notes, Netflix, how about this? Netflix breaking that $80. So we talked about this being a potential support area. Said, probably should wait this whole thing out. Here we go. More lows now. Maybe we actually end up getting that mid 70s and then maybe high 60s print that we've been talking about as the next area down. Netflix, poor morning. Apple, same deal, by the way. So I talked about that a little bit earlier too. Apple down by another 1.15% here on the back of that news from yesterday. Yeah, go ahead.
BCR getting some a bit of a lift here. So with Cisco, what we talked about was, there may have been a number of investors were looking for that might have fallen short from what we got out of the earnings report and the guidance, but I think we also talked about how there was a concern over delayed orders or canceled orders as this this backlog of memory is kind of affecting the time for Cisco to fulfill orders. And I think there's a concern that people might or businesses might cancel orders over the sticker shock. That's one of the things we talked about with regard to what some folks are seeing in that industry. So that could be the reason is, it's just making it harder for this company's clients to stick around and wait for prices to come down.
Okay, really quickly here on NVCR, I know we kind of moved away from this. We had that nice little impulse move, but we actually pulled right back to the VWAP here, 1420. Who likes this? Do you like this here at the VWAP at 1420 on the back of that news?
Sorry, I was looking at Fastly. Let's see, this is NVCR.
It's just we had the impulse move, big time pullback here. To me, it seems like it's at a decision point. If we break this, we probably go to 1350, but maybe a potential bounce spot here. Let me know. NovoCure on the back of that FDA approval for Optune packs.
Yeah, a lot of supply beneath the 200. So if we do lose it, it might take a little while for it to get down there. But we could see support down around $13, maybe just shy of the 50-day SMA. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But that's what I'd be looking. Okay, so now we are really starting to lose.
I was going to say it didn't even wait for us to finish 13. It just started pulling back more. Let me ask. Okay, so let me rephrase here. Where's the bounce spot here? Do we think that there is one here? This is getting pounded right now.
Yeah, the $13 area or 50-day SMA. That's okay. What I'm looking at here. Sorry, I'm just kind of focused on what's happening with Fastly because I had
I'll go back to it.
So yeah, this is still trying to push higher. If this continues to move up, I've got a level marked off here from the last time we looked at this at 1675. I don't know if we're gonna for sure get up there, but that's the next target area I have if we get the volume.
Hey, this was a good. You know what? I think it's time for register rings on this one. All really good stuff here on Fastly right out of the gate. How's App doing?
All these, I haven't looked at that yet, but all the other ones that we looked at, all the other movers, they are not looking good.
Okay, well, at least we found the stuff that is looking good.
They've all come down to their 65 EMAs. JD, ZG, 65 EMA. NVCR, 65 EMA. BBio, almost at the 65 EMA. And VKTX, getting support from its 65 EMA.
Okay, so that's 65 EMA important again. App Lovin' here looks like it's trying to hold 400. It breached beneath it and is trying to recapture it. Here is App.
Sel is mentioning Shopify. That's another one we looked at. I think they had earnings yesterday, right? Or was it a day or two ago? I can't remember. No, it was yesterday.
They traded up and then it had a nasty reversal.
Yeah, rejection of the 200-day SMA. The 500-day SMA could be under pressure tomorrow, so today, as EPS growth in the company continues to diminish year over year. That's one of the things I noticed is that their earnings growth is continued to decline, and it's down year over year. So I think that could be one of the reasons why you're seeing the selling here in Shopify. It just looks like it's kind of slowing down a bit.
Also, really quickly, speaking of the selling, so looking at the market here, it looks like we did try to pop right after the open, but we could not take out the pre-market high, and that's coming back in. So we'll see if that brings even more of these stocks down. Apple, 272 looks to be the bounce spot. Netflix still hunting a low, and Amazon, Amazon also trying to hunt a low. We'll see if this can hold 200.
All right.
Actually, Amazon, this does look like it's trying to bounce here off 200.
Let me pull up Amazon.
Let's see. I'll keep an eye and see if I see anything unusual on the options here. Haven't seen anything yet.
I'm looking at the RSI and I'm thinking, well, this is going to have to turn around at some point soon. This is pretty oversold, but the way this pattern looks, this whole setup since the beginning of February, it looks like this could go lower, like it could go under 200. I don't know if it will, but because it's very oversold already. But I won't say that it can't. I see a potential gap fill under 200 down at about 195. That's back from May of last year. Um, yeah, I would like to see this turn around. Let's see what happens if we get to 200. I think we're going to get to 200, and that's going to have to be a support area. Whether or not we turn around, we'll have to wait and see.
Comment here: Italy is suing Amazon.
I think I saw something about that.
Yeah, that I'm not up on. I wanted to see if I could find that here.
A1 is saying that Amazon's going to 190. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at here too. 195 is where I see the gap fill. I don't disagree. I'm just, kind of thinking out loud here. We do have a very low RSI. We should see some attempt to recapture the 500-day SMA again. But I think if we get that rejection, then we're heading to under 200.
Okay. Amazon going to 190s. Flag drone saying bounce to 210.
Okay.
So you think, okay.
I mean, I own Amazon, so certainly I would like to see this go up, but I'm looking at the chart and I'm, trying to be realistic here. It does look like it's going to try and press lower, but it's going to create some more opportunities, I think. And Amazon has way more going for it than just, the e-commerce. I mean, that's one of the things a long time ago we talked about how we didn't think this was being valued correctly with how important Amazon Web Services is to the entire internet. So, I think it's worth more, but this price action here makes me think it's going to go lower.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff. One more thing here. Yona saying, I bought a Fastly put. So 13, this looks like the other side of the long trade that we talked there. Bought a 15 put as this thing spiked to 15. Do you think 15 will hold? I don't think 15 will hold on Fastly. That is a comment here from the chat. So first of all, I understand the impetus to want to short this thing. It has been pretty weak, and it's up 61%. So I totally get it. The 15 level as 13 outline looks really important. I can't tell you for sure if this is going to hold. I think you're going to have to be patient with this one here today. I think you got a nice little bit of a pullback there, but this is now flagging up here.
A little bit. Volume is kind of diminishing. So, and this has the heavy float. So if that volume starts to go, it's going to be harder to keep get this thing to keep going higher up. You'll probably end up seeing more selling. So we need to hold the VWAP. And if we start losing that, then I think that's going to be your signal there. But right now, it's struggling to get past that trend line that I drew. If you want to draw it yourself.
Was it just these highs?
Just the highs. Yeah. Okay, so got it. After hours high and the pre-market high. There you go.
There you go.
And so that gave us a target. We couldn't close above this trend line. So that's going to kind of be the thing I'd be looking at is if we close above the trend line with this, I would say maybe even this current candle, we could try to press higher. But if we close beneath the VWAP, then I think that's going to indicate we're going lower.
Okay. So there you go. Great plan there for Yona. Okay. Awesome. Good stuff. I'm doing that just for thinking about it. I think it might annoy him. Wiss, take care of yourself. Chicago Realtor. So this is something that we have actually discussed quite a bit here in Happy Hour, and this was an amazing trade back in 2025 for us. This is Rocket. All right. This is so mortgage origination. Chicago Realtor saying, hey, Ryan and 13, can I get your opinion on Rocket Mortgage? I'm thinking about taking a position ahead of their earnings in a few weeks. Okay. So do you have any outlook on what's going to happen with those earnings? Like, why is that? Why are you, what says, yeah, I want to take this here before earnings? One of the big things that we are worried about, they had the RESPA violation news recently. And our real estate expert was saying that could actually be a net negative and might take some time to kind of bleed through here. So with you being in the profession, I would ask you, did you look into the RESPA violations? What do you think about that? That to me gives me a little bit of hesitancy. Looking at the chart here, I'm glad that we've pulled back. I would have liked this more if it were at the 200, but that's being picky. And
I think we also got some information out of Zillow's report about how there's
we did.
An indication of far more renters than buyers.
Really good call.
And the company is experiencing margin compression. Well, that's on the Zillow side, but I think the important takeaway was that they are seeing way more renters than buyers. And there's also some legislation that's trying to make its way through Congress that's going to help make it easier for, I think, first-time home buyers that are on a what is it? The type of mortgage loan.
An FHA loan? First-time home buyer loan?
I don't remember if it was a FHA, but I think it was regarding the insurance, trying to see if they could waive it for.
Oh, you're talking about waiving the primary mortgage insurance,
Yes,
the
the
PMI.
PMI. Yeah, PMI. That's it. Yeah. So I mean, to me, that sounds like a pretty bad idea, and it could create a lot of problems for banks. But that's kind of legislation that's being moved around right now. And until something like that happens, to where the government's going to try to make it easier for home buyers to get a home with where interest rates are and where home valuations are, I have a hard time of seeing a lot of upside in the housing market with the affordability being so out of reach.
And like you had already mentioned, there's Zillow kind of giving you a preview. Yeah, it doesn't look good. It actually looks like they're renting here. Chicago Realtor went on to say Rocket CEO said he's seeing a huge surge in refinance mortgage demand. Yeah, because he's not seeing mortgage origination.
Yes, exactly.
That's the reason for that. So I don't necessarily view that as a positive here. I have no position on Rocket. My last ad here, we bought 15 calls for March way back last year when the stock was $12. Those things absolutely printed as this thing ripped above $20. I don't like it here. I would like this a little bit lower. I'd like a little bit more clarity from my real estate expert friends on what the future might hold here.
And you may have a catalyst coming up here. Because Big Bear Hug just told us, and thank you, home sales release in 15 minutes. So that could give a move to some of these mortgage companies, maybe even the home builders. So keep an eye on those. But at the same time, what we said about the mortgage industry, that's kind of what we're seeing. Refinances, not so much origination. Real quick, Fastly, coming up to some resistance, but it did get through that trend line. It closed over it, and we're still pushing higher. So that's what we wanted to see. If this continues, I mentioned earlier the 1675 area, that's what I'd be keeping my eye on next. But as I said, also, volume is really starting to evaporate out of this thing. So make sure you're setting your stops or at least raising them, because I don't want anybody getting trapped in this.
Kathy, I'm with you. I actually thought they had a pretty good commercial as well. And I love it as a Detroit company too. Don't forget, Rocket works out of the same building that we do at Benzinga. And they've been extremely nice to us. I use the Rocket product and absolutely love it. So I'm with you on that. It's just where the stock is with what's going on. I just don't feel all that confident about it. I thought that was a good question nonetheless, though, Chicago.
Saw mentioned earlier from Lion saying that he was looking to short coin. He thinks it goes lower. I mean, this thing is already this thing has already been absolutely hammered. And I think that you could be right about this going lower. As a matter of fact, I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. If you back out a little bit, you can see that we are down at the all-time lows for the third time. And I get the sense that because I've seen these kinds of patterns before, this could be one where we break down from. Now, it's going to be interesting because if we take if we make a horizontal line, let's say we just make it easy on ourselves to do it at 150. Okay. If we lose this 150 and go down for a short period of time and then find support and turn around, that 150 area, that's going to be the resistance that, if back tested, I think gets rejected. This is a death cross that we had here. This chart just looks ugly as hell to me. It just does not look great.
Okay, so you like Lion short here?
I mean, I liked this short from 240 when we were talking about it, and I liked it. I still liked it. Yeah, I think this could go lower. It just looks like it's getting ready to.
Here's that 150 line, by the way, plotted on the 5-minute.
Yep. So we'll see if that ends up happening. I mean, look, we already bounced once, couldn't get back above 170. There's a supply overhead there from the past last year. Here we are.
Lions targets 140, 130 on coin.
140, 130.
Verizon saw some interesting call buying here. I bought 1,000 contracts. That's for the January 2027. There's what Verizon's chart looks like. No position for me on Verizon, but looks like they like this one higher.
Yeah, that's kind of an indication of I mean, this is based off of like what options flow.
Yeah, I just saw a unusual aggressive options trade here this morning.
I feel like this is kind of like a little bit of a rotation into safety, because we haven't seen Verizon at these prices for a while. No, not since 22.
Okay.
What's
Sorry, 13. Here's a notable one. NVIDIA calls that expire January 20th, this year, 2026, 195 calls. Trader bought 4,000 of them, spent 1.17 million. That is NVIDIA, 195 calls for February. That would be basically trading the breakout of this sideways formation that we have been staring at NVIDIA here. 1.17 million in premium spent on those 4,000 contract sweep, NVDA.
Okay, well, I guess they believe that's going higher.
That's what I would infer from that 13. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and then Coke, and I'm not in Coke anymore, but I'm in Pepsi, and yeah, that's been doing really good. The consumer staples names, we talked about this last year about how they were getting hammered with consumer discretionary and some of those other consumer focused sectors. Now they're doing better. Can we look at Tesla? You want to look at Tesla?
Yeah, we can.
And we also look at QCOM too.
Really quick, though. Canarp is asking NVIDIA earnings. So I think, and I should have mentioned this, I apologize. That sweep expires 5 days before the earnings print. So this is actually a run-up to earnings trade, it would appear.
Okay. Oh, so they're not holding it through the earnings then?
No, the expiry is prior to the earnings date.
That makes me think that we're going to get a sell-off. Because how many times have we seen a stock run up into earnings and then sell off?
So I think we're going to play that run into earnings, but at earnings, that might be the end of the party.
That's kind of what that whole options trade plan sounds like to me.
Okay.
We'll see if that's right or wrong. Fastly came back to its VWAP after hitting 1560. Looks like JDZG, the super junky one, is getting some good support from the 65 EMA. That's trying to turn back up. It's coming up to resistance at 175. NVCR also getting support from the 65 EMA, as is VBio. And those haven't broken down through it yet. And VKTX still continuing to get support from that same EMA. It's the day of the 65. What's up?
Real quick here. Sal saying Flowers, FLWS, can you check this Valentine's Day play? We talked about this on Happy Hour. We talked about this as being high short interest. We talked about this having incredible seasonality starting on February 10th, I believe. Hasn't worked out yet. This thing has just traded down on it.
Yep. So just I think we'll probably see something happen maybe next week or maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But it's certainly something we've talked about. We're keeping an eye on this. This based on the seasonality and the high short interest, this has a good chance for this to go on a bit of a rally here.
Bloom Energy, another big time call sweep here. These expire November 20th. Trader bought 284 calls, spent 1.22 million. That's the 240 strike that expires 11/20, ticker BE.
I'd like to see this thing come back into 120.
You and me both.
That's if it does, then and it gets support there, that might be a really good buy spot. But I'd have to see what the price action leading down there would look like. A lot of sideways price action here, still kind of holding above the 20-day SMA, but man, does it want to go beneath it? It looks like.
I'm not here to argue facts. As growth stocks wanted a rate cut. Yep.
Yeah,
and it doesn't look like that's what we're getting. We had another big jump up in the Fed CME watch tool for a hold. So to me, again, it was always going to be a hold in March, in my opinion, but it looks like we're getting more confirmation of that.
Yeah. And there was a lot of Fed speak about how, there's this case that they're making about not cutting or holding rates. They're holding rates where they're at for a while. The jobs report kind of indicated that rate cuts aren't going to necessarily be needed, but they still want to get inflation down closer to 2%, which I think is going to be quite a challenge. We'll see. What's up with Netflix? Well, not the price.
Yeah, Netflix actually. This one's got me concerned for the longs, I should say, because we talked about this being right at that support area. We talked about this maybe getting broken, and here we go. It sure looks like we are going to probe some of these lower areas. Now, we did have 75 maybe as one of them, but I think furthermore, we had 65 to 70. I think that was the last one that goes back to this consolidation area from 2024.
70 is what I've been saying I think it goes to. I'm leaning on the highs from November of 2021 as a support area. So we're getting pretty close, but we're not there yet.
Wisdom, take care of yourself. Thanks for all your support and all of the nice things that you say on a regular basis. Izzy said sold Netflix for a $200 loss, no bite. Yeah, again, Izzy, I know that we were trying to talk about that. I just didn't feel great about it. So to wait it out. Now it looks like we might be able to get Netflix at a cheaper price. Eventually, this thing's going to be a buy, though. I don't even subscribe to it, and I can tell you that I believe this is going to be a buy, without a doubt. Lance, appreciate this. I owned a flower shop. What a bad decision that was. Too much labor with little return. Oh, well, live and learn, indeed.
Is Lance, would you say that, running a flower shop is probably more for the love of the game? Like you have to be really into, making flower arrangements? Because I think that's, I get what you're saying. And it seems like to stick around in that, you have to really enjoy what you do.
And then also, are we on to something with the Valentine's Day seasonality stats that we looked at? Did you notice something similar in the business that you ran?
Yeah, that's a great question. All right. Well, let's see here. Oh,
so Fastly did lose 15 here, but it is still kind of chopping around at the top end of this impulse flag.
Trying to hold on to that VWAP. Getting asked if ZEP is a turnaround. Also, Flag Drones is mentioning that EOS is holding back on a significant new order through Navy Yard, New York, which should drop before earnings. Well, that's interesting information. Let me look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, and enjoy what you do. Does go for every job. No, I've never been a farmer, but I'll be honest with you. There are parts of that job and I guess career that are appealing. I might be in the minority there, but I've got no experience, never done it. But man, being out by yourself in nature for a lot of the day, that doesn't sound half bad.
Now, is EOS the Eaton Vance Enhanced Equity Income Fund? Because if there's a different ticker, let me know what that is.
Go ahead.
I
think he meant
EOS. Okay, gotcha. Okay. EOS. All right, that makes sense.
By the way, Yona, if you're still out there, really good conviction on that 15 short there on Fastly. It looks like we're rolling over to the VWAP here. Mm-hmm. Remember, 13 already kind of set this up for you. We break that VWAP, I think we probably come in. That test is coming here, though.
Yeah, EOSE, maybe, you know what? I'm kind of wondering here, if we go down to that 200-day SMA, does that news drop then? Like when is earnings 14 days? Okay, maybe not, because that's 2 weeks away and we're getting pretty close to the 200. Maybe this trend line here, it's just under 200. Maybe this thing goes under 10. That's when we start to see some of that information come out. I don't know. I'm speculating.
Llewellyn, have a great day. There's always another one. If you protected your capital, you did fine.
The Fed in May should help the market take off because Powell is being replaced. So that's what you're getting at, Lion.
We'll see. We'll see what Warsh does. The market is they kind of liked that pick.
Getting asked about, oh, wait, we also were supposed to look at QCOM. Hold on. We'll look at QCOM and then we'll take a look at Bull.
Okay.
QCOM.
Mo, I wouldn't feel too bad. I haven't done anything here today. Didn't do anything yesterday either. I'll be honest though, that Fastly trade, that was the one, and I was just too slow on it, which it's just part of doing the show. That's what it is.
And volume's really starting to fall off here, so we could lose the VWAP here pretty soon.
I'll tell you what, 13, really good call on the long side for you, and a really good call. I think am I getting the name right? Is it Yona, or am I messing that up? I think Yona, yeah. Oh my God, Miss Whitehorse is back. That is a blast from the past. Hello, Miss Whitehorse. I'm sorry I missed that comment earlier. Hope you are well.
QCOM. So I get the sense that this is just a balance before we've just experienced, pretty much this whole month. We had this drop back on February 5th. Started to come back up, but I think we almost ran into a little resistance. And now today we're kind of turning around here. I get the sense that we could still come back in some more. but let's see if we can go sideways. Volume just doesn't look. We haven't even traded 1 million shares yet today. Looks to me like about 136 is going to be a support area if we end up coming down more. I don't know that we're done selling off here. I still think that this may end up going lower. I haven't seen anything yet that indicates that we've turned around just yet. Maybe once we do get some sideways price action that helps take us back over the 20-day SMA, then maybe it's going to be the time. But I don't think that we've turned around quite yet in QCOM. And then what was the other one we were looking at?
We did get asked to look at Tesla. I don't think we ever did.
Okay, but there was another one that I was going to look at after QCOM.
Sorry, didn't mean to distract you there.
No, it's okay. I don't remember what it was, and I can't seem to find it.
And Palantir, you're right about that 133.50 spot. This chart actually looks pretty weak. I wonder if this is going to roll over lower. Palantir, this is yesterday's intraday lows. Look out below if we lose this.
And then Nokia, big dump. Is there news on that? I don't know if this is a big dump.
I was going to say this is down 3%, man.
They got a bit of a reversal candle yesterday, so I could attribute that to maybe the price action reversing a little bit, but there is support down around 7. And then after that, 680 is where I have the next support, and that's pretty close to the 20-day SMA. So if this does come back in some more, there's not a whole lot of downside. It looks to me like it's less than $1. So I don't know how I don't think this is going to go down too much more. But I would think that it gets supported by just under 7.
An unusual 13. Let me see if I can find an unusual options trade in Ondas. The 20 puts for September of this year. I don't know what this trade is. Well, the trader spent $1.54 million, bought 1,300 contracts. Did they sell the 20 put for September of this year? I don't know what to make of that.
I think the other one we were supposed to look at was Bull. We were getting asked how low can this go? I mean, this could probably go lower. Let me look at the financials. Are they losing money or making money? It looks like their last report they made money. Don't have a high amount of short interest, and I think this is just it's just moving down with Hood, and I think this. I want to say this has a crypto holdings angle, but I'm not sure about that. This thing looks like it could still go lower. I don't have a price for you where it could go, but until we start trading above the 50-day SMA again, I think this continues lower.
Thinking about it screaming at us about MBOT. The last time that you had mentioned this had traded up to 215. Thinking about it, it's hilarious that this is what's happening today, because earlier here today, we got ripped for looking at the smaller stocks, and literally everyone was complaining and saying, hey, look at the bigger stocks. Mm-hmm. We did. And what happens? Thinking about it's like MBOT. You guys are ignoring me. There's just sometimes you just can't win. You could try your best, but you just can't win.
I like this price action out of MBOT. So it's been
13, I'll be right back. One second.
It's been having a hard time getting above the 50-day SMA. Matter of fact, it's been trying to do that since September, constantly being rejected. And today, now we're getting over it. So if we can start closing over this 50-day SMA, I think we continue higher. The 200 is at 259. So if we do close over the 50-day SMA today and maybe even tomorrow, I think we could see a move up towards that 250 area with the 200-day SMA. That's the near term, area I'd be looking for this to go. It may go higher. I could see this pattern looks great to me. Like we kind of double bottomed here, getting some pretty decent support from the 500-day SMA. So if this upward momentum can continue and we can get through that 200-day SMA, I think we see 3+. So looking like a pretty good turnaround here for MBOT. Coin put printing huge. Get it. Get that put money. These last few days are slower than Christmas time. The volume, I don't think has really reflected that, but I don't think you're too far off either. This has been a very low volume day, series of days recently, so I don't think you're too far off. But I think the volume was just a little bit lower on those holiday trading days. NKTR moved red to green on volume. That's still doing stuff. This is one we were looking at yesterday too.
NKTR you had?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, well, this one's kind of making its way up towards the trend line that we drew. Really nice support from the 200-day SMA. We blasted through the 20 and 50-day SMAs, and we're still going. The high from yesterday, we still haven't cleared yet. That's 67.94. Call it 68 if you want. Let's see if we can get over 68 on the way to 70 here in NKTR. Robotic and endovascular surgery already FDA approved. Oh, okay. And this, but it's not like AI where the AI is doing it. It's like people using haptic controls or something to move the robot, right? Is that what it is? Everybody waiting on Friday CPI. I think the entire market's waiting for the CPI right now.
And really quick here, Fastly, this actually might be gearing up to go back towards those highs.
Yep, still trying to push up back through 15.
How did that BBIO stock do that had news here this morning? This is why we never took a look at it. We talked about this maybe if this performs well going back up towards the highs. No, we didn't do any of that. We went right down to the 65 EMA. Yeah, you got it exactly right. You talked about that earlier. Another one going right to that level. It's why we look at it regularly.
NBS is higher. Or NBIS, I'm sorry. Let's see.
This Fastly curl.
Yeah, it's still dealing with that trend line. But
and it's battling with 15, indeed.
But it's looking, not too bad. Just, it's the only concerning thing for me is the volume going to be enough to move this heavy float? That's really the big issue I had with this one. It is the largest float mover that we looked at too. But we are coming back up to this trend line. Highs of the session is 1560. We'll see if it can go higher.
Tweet here from yesterday, breaking U.S. credit card debt hits 1.28 trillion, a new record high.
And we're going to keep hitting new record highs. It's going to get
Fastly going.
Yep. Moving through the trend line, looking for 1560.
Positive traders saying that Oracle is popping. We looked at that earlier, and it wasn't trading on high volume. Maybe now it's Yeah. Well, okay, so the volume's still not really high. Excuse me, sorry, 13. Woo.
Okay.
That came out of nowhere. Thank you, producer. Producer saw what happened. Oh my gosh.
All right, Fastly, large seller on the way at 1550. If the volume expands to take that out, I think we're going to blow past 1560 here.
Yona, what's the strategy here on the short? Do you hold that? Do you add to it? Do you run from it? What's the plan here? Not short that myself, by the way. Right at the trend line, 13.
Yep, dealing with that seller. We're going to need more volume to get through that. I don't know if you see it on your price ladder or your matrix, but there's a seller that keeps walking this down. It was at 1550, then it moved to 1540. Now it's down at 1530. They're trying to walk this down.
Yep,
so if we take them out,
see it. There's the seller. They just took them.
Okay, so we might see a move past 1560 here. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say 1540 seems to be the next spot now that it took that. I have a stop limit at 1660 on Fastly.
Okay. I would love to see that go there.
I tell you what, buying this at the 9 EMA, that was the nice trade here for this next move. I don't want to try playing this breakout, but I do think you're right there. If this goes above 1640, this probably goes for the high, maybe even takes that out too. JD asking, app going to hit 270? So app, more bad news, down 16% now on app. Your big test coming up here pretty soon. 360.
Mm-hmm. We'll see if it spins you right around, baby. Anyway, Walmart is a rocket. Yeah, consumer goods, consumer side.
I feel like we've been saying that all week, 13. I feel like that's been a theme all week, the consumer
Um,
staples, consumer side, maybe even longer than that.
New all-time high. Oh yeah, I've been saying it, since probably the middle of last year, because we keep an eye on those sectors, and almost all the time, the worst performing sectors of one year tend to be the better performing sectors of the next year, and that's just how it's been. So that's what I was trying to talk about a lot, is these consumer names probably will do well this year.
I do think app's going to bounce here, but I don't think this weakness is over yet. And I think we're going to keep probing some lower areas here. Okay, so what happened? I was going to say, where did my details tool go? Yona, appreciate this. I appreciate the entire thought out and verbalization of the plan here. I think that's always helpful for the group, especially for those that are just really kind of unsure on what to trade. I like that you're outlining the entire plan here. I'm waiting on a rejection of the 70 RSI for a potential intraday double top up there at 1560. So it sure looks like if that 1560 resistance area holds, this might go lower. You'll stay in the short. Otherwise, you'll probably scrap that and look for re-entry or look for something else.
And this is for which stock?
Fastly, FSLY.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And you know what? I meant to bring up VKTX. My thing got messed up there. Sorry about that. Here's VKTX. We did lose that. What is that? The 65 EMA. Indeed. Qs dropped. The Qs are at the lows. SPY and Qs at the lows. Dow again diverging from that.
That was a great pickup of the SQQQ yesterday by some folks in our happy hour.
Oh yeah.
It's like they've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, and they have.
Joe mentioning HD and Home Depot and Lowe's.
So what do we think about that for springtime?
Well,
like home repairs, gardening, all that stuff from Lowe's. I'm at Home Depot in the spring all the time.
I think that's a great case to make, because you do have a lot of home buying happen, and so if people are selling, the best what are they called? The best realtors that I've seen help people sell their homes are the ones that involve staging the home. So they have their own, furniture and their own team of guys that come in and kind of like, do all the painting and set everything everywhere. They make the house more.
They prepare it for sale.
Yes,
is basically what they're doing.
They make it more appealing to look at and kind of give it that turnkey feel. So those,
freshen it up. Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I certainly think that that's going to be something you want to keep an eye on for when we do get into this cycle of home buying in the spring. I think you're going to see a lot of repairs. I think you're going to see a lot of, as you said, some outdoor gardening, and people that aren't, going to be selling their homes. They're going to be doing the gardening and the repairs. So yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty good play for the spring.
Here's your Fastly double top test.
Oh man, look at this. Here we go, trying to get through this guy at 1550.
This is the best trader of the day. I feel pretty confident about that, at least so far here. The impulse move was great. Pull back to that 9 EMA, another move right up to the resistance area. This thing has obeyed its resistance areas like crazy. You're able to see the seller on the ladder kind of walk the price down. This to me feels like a pretty good trade here today. Here comes 1560 test.
Yep, I think this is looking for that $16 area.
I think this is going to go. Actually, we did get 1565, and then we got a pullback. Boy, that happened so fast. I barely even saw it on the ladder. But I confirmed 1565, your high print. It did take it by 5 cents. Lion here, interesting. LAC. Okay, so this is on that the lithium and the materials here. Lion says this is a screaming buy at 5. And here it is, right down at the 200 EMA. This is a very, very clear support level, maybe 450, 425 here on LAC. So you like this going forward, Lion?
Let's take a look here at Lithium Americas. It's been getting support around the 430 area. I think this is going to be a test of the 200 at some point soon. 200-day SMA. This looks like we're just curling over to come down to that level. That's what I'd be keeping an eye on here. Nice trend line here that we could see a breakout of at some point. If we
Last insider buy came in September of last year. So the insider is not active here, even during this kind of sideways area here. The trend line, are you talking about this on the daily here from this high to the recent high? I thought so.
Nope. Now, maybe maybe we could even go, now we can't really. There's a secondary trend line you could use. It could start back from the IPO high of in October of 2023 and draw it through that same October 2025 high. But that's going to give you like a secondary area to go to target to shoot for if we break this first trend line you just drew.
Okay. Well, we'll assess that when we get there. You guys are talking about some of the memory names. How did those end up panning out? 15 minutes to go here, folks. So Sandus, this came back into its VWAP. It looks like Sell likes LAC as well down at that support area. Ondas recaptured 9. We'll see if it can hold that.
Batteries.
So did you, speaking of batteries, we had news here on QS. Oh, shoot, I closed that story down. Let me see if I can grab that story. I'll drop it in the chat again here. Where's my handy dandy history? Here it is.
Albemarle had earnings.
Yeah, they did. We haven't checked on that either. It
popped over the 20-day SMA, but it's coming back in. That's fine. I still think this is going to do really well this year, but been on a great run. Need to see support from the 50-day SMA.
13 regarding QS here real quick. I know this one in that battery theme, excuse me. Their 2026 focus, the company's core focus in 2026 will be demonstrating scalable production of its solid-state battery technology using the Eagle line. QuantumScape also plans to work closely with global automaker customers to meet requirements and co-develop industrialization strategies. So they reported earnings here. Company ended the period with $970 million in total liquidity, and CapEx was $12.3 million. Installation of its Eagle line. We believe we have a diverse group of customers and application opportunities, a robust and growing partner ecosystem, and differentiated technology platform that's both continuously improving and capturing the benefits of increasing scale. Excuse me. So
this looks like it's going to go lower. We have a death cross that could happen here maybe this month. I think this is looking like it's coming down towards the 500-day SMA. This looks to me like it's going to go lower before it goes higher, but maybe I've watched this one. I remember when this was a SPAC, I'm pretty sure, and it's been trying to get going here for a very long time. I thought this was finally going to start doing something great last year when it was rallying, but here we are back at some of these lower prices again. I get the sense that this is going to still come back in before we really start to get some news or some something that's going to take this higher.
NBIS, check out this bounce. I'm actually sorry I missed this now that I look at it. We had an 8-point bounce here from the pre-market lows on the back of its earnings. Worse than expected Q4 sales guidance. That didn't stop this thing from bouncing, though. Lion says, I don't trust QS management. So that would maybe help that go lower there.
I think with NBIS, you're going to see some resistance pretty soon, just shy of 91. If you look at a daily chart, you have the 20 and the 50-day SMA right in the same area. And yesterday and the day before, and the day before that, basically all week, those two moving averages have been providing resistance. So until that changes, it seems to me like if we come back up to those same moving averages again, there's probably going to be rejection.
NBIS. Fastly here, holding above 15. This actually, just kind of looking at this intraday chart, it sure looks like it wants to try and test higher. A pop and pull back in might have just shaken out some of the weak hands there.
United Health is getting mentioned. That's trying to put in a bottom here. Looks like we got down to 266. That filled the gap from August last year. Now it's trying to turn around. If this does come back up, $300 is a resistance area. Earnings beats have been tanking everyone. Earnings A lot of earnings beats has, and I think there's different reasons for that. It could just be that the earnings didn't quite guide or hit the magic number that some investors were looking for. It could be that there's just a compression in margin growth. So even if they're beating their earnings and they're guiding higher or whatever, there's other things that investors and institutions are looking at that may be indicating to them it's time to take profit and get out.
Kathy here mentioning NVCR pulled back and is bouncing a bit. And indeed, Kathy, this was down to that 65 EMA. It's bouncing a little bit, but it is absolutely finding resistance right there at the VWAP at 1395.
So Amy getting brought up here along with CRML.
I don't know how I feel about NVCR here, Kathy. Let me know. Sorry, Amy?
Yeah, kind of interesting where we're at right now. You want to draw a trend line?
I love trend lines.
So take the high from December of 2024, draw it through the high of April 2025, and keep it going through today. You're going to have to go a little bit more to the left for that.
Gotcha. This December 24 is going to be back here. December 24, got it.
Yep.
And then what was the other point?
April 2025.
April of 2025. That's September. Here's July. Here's April of 2025. So we're going to connect this point and we're going to go right to here.
So that's kind of what I'm looking at is, for a support area. And it's just, it should be just above or maybe it's right in line with the 50-day SMA. I can't really see it on there. You have
these are the EMAs. Sorry, okay. This is not the bigger chart with the SMAs. These are the EMAs.
So I have the 50-day SMA at 719, and that's pretty close to where the trend line runs through. So I'm kind of looking at that. I'm kind of looking at that area as a support area. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But if we do get that support, then I think this is the buy area, and we can turn around here.
Okay. Really quickly, NVCR, we were just talking about that off Kathy's mention. This is right back up to the VWAP. Kathy, what do you think? You think we go through the VWAP here? There, looks like it's trying.
Yeah, JDZG is still getting support from the 65 EMA, and it has moved through its VWAP. This is trying to turn around. Volume's crap, though. Let's see what else here. WeShop's not doing anything. VKTX, this one coming back up to test the VWAP. It's already hit it once. And BBio is still getting support from the 65 EMA. It's my patented for the 65 EMA.
I mean, it hits so often. And NVCR, Kathy, really good mention again here. That did go through its VWAP. Looks like it's trying to go, and now it's pulling back. All I have to do is talk about that stock. It just does the opposite.
What else are we looking at here?
Yeah, I don't know how much else.
Volume is really starting to dry up. Lots of downside happening
How's
here.
App doing? App's still really not showing a bounce yet. Maybe we do get that 350 area before we get the bounce here, Lion, on App. Tesla's trying to bounce a little. Apple's trying to hold 270, and Amazon has still held 200. By the way, we haven't checked in. VIX at 17.5 here. In crypto, just shy of 68,000. I unloaded half of NVCR at 1350 at a small loss, hoping to recoup with the last half. Okay. Well, it's working now.
Rich and
good patience on that too, Kathy. Really good execution.
Mentioned Iridium.
That's RIDM, right?
Yep. They had
RIDM,
earnings.
Yep.
This is one of my. I like this name in the space stocks. This is one that pays a dividend. And looks like EPS is in line. Sales miss. Must have been something else that was really stand out for investors to take this thing up over 15% here. Really nice move. Probably might also be a little bit of a short squeeze too. We've got 13.59% of the float share, but only 3.4 days to cover. Looks like they've been covering since last month as well. Well, really good to see that. What's the rest of the space theme looking like this morning? Mostly red, with iridium, the bright green shining light in a sea of red, almost like a buoy.
Sell here saying ES could be ranged. Yes, setups for tomorrow. You guys were talking about the CPI data tomorrow. Let's see how power hour goes, but with the volume kind of drying up here, I don't feel great about there being another big move here in the SPY today. You guys are right. Chop City this morning, indeed, Michael.
Yep.
In and out when you can, or just simply let it pass.
And it looks like Fastly's still having a hard time getting over that trend line. MACD is starting to look like it's going to curl over here. Momentum swing into the downside. I think this might, the next visit to the VWAP might be the one that takes us through it. So I just would exercise some caution here with Fastly.
I'll tell you what, that trend line has been great. That little 5-cent pop above 1560 to 1565, that was very quickly deleted. And I would agree with you, 13. I think if we can't hold above that trend line and that price, we're probably coming back in. We'll see if VWAP gets snapped there. Meanwhile, NVCR still trading up here. Good stuff, Kath.
Yeah, get in and get out where you can, or don't even try.
Yeah,
sit on your hands, and we'll see if if a better day provides some trades for us tomorrow.
That's my whole thing, is that if I have an opinion going into the open, and that opinion looks to hold true maybe the first 30 minutes of the open, then I feel a little bit better. When it doesn't, though, that's when I like to back off here, and that's kind of what happened here today. Sure looked like the market was going to try and trade higher here, right back down to the pivot, and it's basically stayed there and chopped around, as you guys have outlined.
Seems like it doesn't really want to hang around for until after CPI. It doesn't look like there's an appetite to really hold into that print. So I think that's kind of telling. Might be a good opportunity tomorrow.
BBAI, how low can you go? That tells me that it probably was not the competitor to Palantir that some thought.
Getting asked about Fastly's cash and whether they're going to be at risk of an offering. I don't think that they need to do any kind of offering right now. Just looking at how much cash they have, they've got over 113 million in the bank. As far as this, I'll have to look and see what the updated balance sheet looks like. But as of their last report, they had over 100 million. They're losing around 30 million a quarter. Although this the most recent quarter, not today, but the most recent one, they've shown a decline in their losses. So that's positive, and revenue is increasing. So I don't think that they're going to need to really do any kind of capital raise. It seems like they're okay. And if they need to go through more cash and get some more, there's over 200 million they have in short-term investments that they could liquidate. So I don't think there's a real concern about them needing to raise capital. Balance sheet looks great. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see any reason why they would need to.
Real quick here, G-Man asking about Walmart. So we talked a little bit about Walmart. We talked about this being in one of the sectors that's really kind of been strong recently. This does look like very good action today. And better still, look at the daily. This actually new highs here. So nice little pullback again to the 9 EMA. 9 EMA and 65 EMA have been the two EMAs that have very clearly been respected, if you will. This now, more new highs here on Walmart. This looks like this is going to keep going. Earnings in 7 days. I don't know what to expect from that, but I would gather it's probably going to put up a good number.
Yeah, at the same time, I get the sense that it might be more prudent to sell into that number just because of the rally that we've been experiencing going into that print. I get this. I think we might see profit taking. I don't know how much it's going to cause a stock to come in, but if this is just a trade for you, I think selling into the earnings print might be the play. If this is a longer term hold for you, then completely ignore that and stick with your own plan. Redwire patience for an entry volume low. Okay. So a lot of the space names down. I think a lot of this has to do with the rate cuts or the lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to have to just be a situation where we got to be patient with a lot of the space names until we start getting that theme to turn around. And I think what might get it going, because I don't think it's going to be off rate cuts. What I think might get it going again is the next Starship test flight, which is supposed to happen in March now. So that's what I'd be keeping an eye on. Redwire lost the 500 yesterday, continuing lower today. And it looks to me like we might get some support around 7, but I think it could end up being much lower, that we get support like maybe around 5. So yeah, I think it's probably a good idea to wait. And then real quick before I get chased off here, James is asking about Spot, and we kind of mentioned that this is very, looking very similar to Netflix.
Yep.
And
here, I'll put it back on screen. Sorry, 13.
Sure,
I was just trying to wrap.
Yeah, sorry about that. So this looks very similar to Netflix, and it seems like there's an issue with are they going to be able to grow their subscriber base more? I think raising the prices, kind of as a reflection that there's a little bit less confidence that they can do that. So they rose the price in order to keep looking like sales and earnings are growing. So I still think this may end up coming in, but there's going to be probably a really good buying opportunity, maybe closer to around 380.
I would say 380 to 400, probably that next spot there. Okay, 13, really good stuff here today. I know we covered quite a bit. Yep. Unbelievable. We get asked to cover big stocks, we do, and then we get yelled at for not covering one of the small stocks. So it just goes to show you.
We're trying to make everybody happy, guys.
When you try to make everybody happy, you inadvertently make nobody happy, and that's what it seems like. So we'll keep trying to do this. 13, any closing words for the group?
Hey, we have days like this where there's just not a whole lot we can latch on to and get some great trades, but there were great trades nonetheless. So let's come back tomorrow, see if we can find some more. Hang on to that capital. We're going to need it for the trades we're going to make. We have CPI, so we could see some volatility. Get ready, buckle up, and let's have a good day tomorrow. See you later, folks. Bye. All
right, really good stuff there, 13. He clearly had his coffee here today. Folks, really good stuff here on the Thursday. We got one more day. Got CPI tomorrow, and we've got that 3-day weekend. Day trader, if you're still out there, enjoy your 4-day weekend. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.